Yes, indeed. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts. Welcome all to a Tuesday stream. It is October 17th, 2023. We are officially past the halfway mark of October. We are now only 2 weeks away from Halloween, so that's good. And I am here with you folks and with the crew for day 12 of Lord of the Rings role-playing Shire Adventures to Soothe a Savage Beast. This is sponsored by Free League, and this is the penultimate session of Shire Adventures, as was previously announced last week. We have 2 more sessions left today and 1 more session in November before we wrap up Shire Adventures, which is a bittersweet thing. It will be the end of 6.5 years of Middle-earth role-playing on this channel in some capacity or another. All of that sponsored, by the way, either by Cubicle 7 or by Free League. But it's been a great honor and a privilege and fun to play with everybody, and we'll have a chance to talk more about sort of post-mortems and things like that during our final session in November. But I am excited for more Shire play today. Before I get there, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us on the channel. If you have not done so already, thank you so much, Triffid. I appreciate that. Thank you. If you have not done so already, please make sure to follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube, and please do sub to us over there. It's free to do that, and it really does help us out. You can get past broadcasts of this and other streams. That's !ArvTube for that. Discord is !ArvCord, where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. Twitter is !ArvTweets, and my blue sky is !ArvSky. Website for this, arvanelaron.com. Financially, !ArvShop is the merchandise area. We now have the graphics that we need for Shire Adventures, so I would expect that to be going live certainly by sometime next week or the week after. We'll have some Shire Adventures stuff up there so that you'll be able to never forget. You'll be able to have positive memories of these things, and I think people will like being able to have that. I'm going to be sending shirts to the players and, having one myself and all that, and I hope people will consider doing that and also checking out our Eberron campaign. We've still got Expedition from the Mysterious Peak stuff to get over there as well, so more stuff coming to the shop soon. That supports the channel, as does the Patreon, !ArvTreon. I did notice now that we have a lot of they've started including followers now that are not paid members, but are just sort of free members checking things out. And I like that because that suggests that there are people that down the line may be encouraged to be able to jump in and maybe support on a more financial level, which is very cool. So that's the Patreon. You can get cool stuff for yourself and for the channel with !ArvTreon. And subbing to the channel, of course, as Triffid was nice enough to just do, is always really helpful. We just had our subathon a few weeks ago, 2.5 weeks or so, which was very successful. That was awesome. And so you can sub and get those custom sub badges and emotes to use everywhere across Twitch. And also, of course, you can get inspirations to help the players in this and other campaigns both there and on Patreon. On the publishing side, !Icarus for my graphic novel from Athos Arts. !Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment, and !Greyshade, which is my Greyshade World, the Grey Assassin Trilogy, Greyshade and Renegade. Book 3, Heretic, will be coming out next year. The tabletop role-playing game will be coming out later as well, so you can pre-order Heretic and the Greyshade TTRPG. You can also buy the audiobook of Greyshade from Trend Sparks and Greyshade and Renegade books, which are both out and available right now. So you can do that at that link. Please do so. That would be lovely. And last but certainly not least, !BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. !Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And !Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage, and send the message that we will do so in the future as well. Quick note on scheduling. We've got this going on tonight until about 7 to 10 or 15 or so. Then we will be back tomorrow, Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. for the next Negocios Infernalis game with Carlos Hernandez and crew, Cassandra Kaw, Brandon O'Brien, Anna Russell, and Will Sobel will be the players for that. That's coming tomorrow. Then we'll be off Thursday. Friday, we have got Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. And then on Saturday, we have got some Eberron Oracle of War coming back at you coming up this Saturday. So it's going to be a great tabletop week to come, and I am very excited for all of it. But now I'm excited to continue with this game, and so I'm going to unmute myself and apologize to anyone that I may have interrupted because I couldn't hear them. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to head over to reveal. The crew is here. They are ready. They are prepared. They are excited. And they are ready to soothe savage beasts. I'm sure that nothing could possibly go wrong with a title like that.
Or control excitable hobbits.
Exactly. Well, maybe it's the same thing. I mean, we don't specify the savage beast. Like maybe the Hobbit is the beast. You know. Like
Maybe the owl comes back.
You know.
I thought we were smooching sandwich beats. Is that not? Because that's what I was promised was some beats.
To soothe the sandwich beast? No.
Smooch.
Smooch the sandwich beast. Oh, yeah. No,
That's a different system. I forgot the name. The one where like everybody is furries. What was the name of that system or setting?
My life.
Yeah, that was a softball.
I mean a D&D setting.
Oh man. Well, it is awesome to have this crew with us, and I will begin with, as usual, with the person at the top left of the screen, and that, of course, is Amal El-Matar, who I had the chance to say hi to briefly, but we did get a hug in, as we said, and watched as she was on a panel about pros and games, which was very cool. And because we were, she was in her hometown. I was visiting internationally, but it was good to see you, Amal. And Amal's not tired at all now. Everything is fine. There was no hanging out with friends and cons and all that. That was all none of that happened, right? I mean, you're totally rested and all that. How are you doing, Amal? Who are you playing today?
I'm great. You know how like last week Coriander was exhausted and had anyway, that
I remember it well, yes.
That for me now. I am real life exhausted. In a nice way though. I'm pleasantly exhausted. I'm just astonishingly sleepy. I slept I was some of our friends, actually friends of the channel, I believe, CSE Cooney and her
Indeed.
Were staying with us, and it was a very lovely visit, but staying with us while also attending the convention. And so we were like going back and forth there. And it's always a little bit of a different experience to attend a convention that is in your hometown when you're like not staying in the hotel, but you're kind of going back and forth and just integrating your regular daytime errands with the convention and stuff. So it was I wanted to be up to see them off this morning, and they had a very early start, so I did not get very much sleep. I was up at 5:30, and then once they were off, I went back to bed and woke up at 11, and I'm very stupefied as a consequence. So it's
the Tren experience. This is the Tren Sparks experience. Like you've just described what Tren says every time.
Yep.
So anyway, I am extremely sleepy, hoping to wake up a little more. I'm playing Coriander Took, who is a hobbit. She is the granddaughter of Granny Lavender, and she is just a sweetie who never gets into trouble and never does anything bad.
Right, exactly. And does not, on brief, very few occasions, self-righteously face down people who were being, not appropriate and putting people at risk.
Has historically tantrumed after being too tired at some people. But yes, what was I going to say as well? Actually, quick question. I think were we supposed to level up before?
Yeah.
We were. In fact, Tari sent a reminder, but it's okay.
I did see the reminder. I just had no time to execute.
No, that's true.
Between the time that I saw the reminder.
I will help you if you need to.
Yes, I'll do it. Anyways, that's me. Hey, all right.
Hey.
I'm gonna go and level up my character now.
Yeah, it's Brad can confirm when young people get very, very, very tired, they do have a tendency to be not at their best. Anyway, speaking of Brad, it's good to see you. Not you as the child. I meant you as the parent, just to be clear. Brad, how is... Yeah, I know. I'm going to give Brad a pop because I just saw the UK cover, which Brad posted on Twitter, of Dragons of Deepwood Fen, which is kick-ass looking and very psychedelic. And like, that feels like not I feel like the UK covers are usually more like... I don't know. That's just struck me. I'm like, wow, that's super cool, but it didn't strike me as like a normal cover for something like this. So, I don't know. First of all, congratulations. Looks awesome. What do you think about that? Do you want to comment on your awesome new UK cover? And also, who are you playing today?
Yeah, this so Dragons of Deepwood Fen coming out from Daw slash Astra in the US, but Head of Zeus in the UK. And I've been, ever since I got into this game and got foreign, rights deals and stuff, like fascinated by the different cover approaches,
Yeah.
artwork, design styles, all that kind of thing. And I think the UK has been a bit more iconographic in general, and at least, maybe that's changing a bit now. But say like 3, 4, 5+ years ago, I think that was kind of true. If you look at Sanderson's covers, he has like a black and white, like a sketch type of approach with a little splash of color with some of his major, books over there. And in the US, it's just a lot more representational. They take a scene and make artwork for that.
Mhm.
And so anyway, so that scenic type of approach in the US, I'm so used to that. It's ingrained in me. That's like the first thing I go to when I think of covers. And so when I'm designing my own, I do that kind of thing. And then, so when this cover, the sketch came across, I say all that to just say I'm mindful of the differences in the buying public, the readership, and so I cannot put my US preconceptions on the artwork. And so my first, impression is like, I wish it was more like the US style, early on when they first sent me the sketches. But then I'm like, the more I look at it, I'm like, it's pretty cool. And it was like sort of, just sketch quality at the time. And now there's more detail, and like they changed the that background. It's a top-down view and shows like the forest below, but it's like red, so it's like abstract almost. And they're just going for color pop, to bring the eye towards the cover.
It does
in a
that.
bookstore or a thumbnail,
Yeah.
or what have you. And so just from a pure marketing perspective, I think it's so on the money. And like I really enjoy the sense of movement these two dragons have as they're crossing each other, and you're looking at them and stuff. And so I'm excited about it. And I think, it's so hard to tell, but I think it's going to hit that market well in the UK. And even some people in the US were like, I have to get both covers, and I haven't heard
Mhm.
much of that before. And so it's kind of cool to just compare and contrast, look, two different artists, two different art directors coming to the same material and coming up with just totally different takes. And I suppose that would be true of 3 or 4 or 5 artists and art directors too. But it is just neat. I love writing, but I also love the business of writing, and this is one aspect of it. And it's just neat to me to see how different folks approach this particular part of marketing and publicity and stuff. And
Yeah, that
building
part
up
never gets
results.
old. I feel like people coming to your work and being like, I was thinking about Icarus when you were talking about this and about like the art done for that, and just like that's wild that's what they made out of my words. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So it's good stuff. I dig it.
Yeah, so I'm excited that that's out in the world, and we're building towards December release in the US, early January, the first week in the UK. And so yeah, check that out. Just go to quillings.com, find my socials, you'll find it there. And in the meantime, I am playing Caloran Fallowhide, a messenger who is gaining in power and knowledge and ability, I feel.
Yes.
Last time we played, he feels more confident, than he used to.
Yes, and actually, let me say just quickly while I have that. Also, will give others more time to level up if they haven't done so already. What cool new things has Cal gained at level 3 messenger ability?
I am not quite done either, but I do, yeah.
I've chosen mine.
I've been talking. I haven't finished. I have new. I have
in the background. Someone's like stretch.
No, but I have errand runner, which is like this sort of catch-all. Like my messenger ability allows me to be good at a whole bunch of things, so like I'm not bad at anything because I'm so experienced meeting people, doing things, having to make my way across the world and stuff. So that's kind of cool.
So you're that guy, to be clear, right? You're the person who's just like, man, everything is just like, oh, he's good at that too. Oh, I guess
yeah.
Like you're just good at everything, right?
Is there anything you're bad at? Well, no, not really. Yeah, and then way back in the beginning when we were coming up with characters, I knew that the messenger paths existed, and so at level 3, you get to choose either counselor or herald.
I was interested what you were going to choose for this. Yeah.
Harold, you
and
say?
so Harold seems like
Harold,
a
you
bit
say.
more fighty.
Mm-hmm.
A bit more like sort of battle conscious and stuff. And then Counselor seems, more wisdom based. You're trying to help people along and stuff like that. And I actually didn't know what I was going to choose in the beginning. But now that it's kind of interesting and fun having been through these adventures. And so that has advised me on what I want to choose. So
Okay.
Counselor is the clear choice, having stuff and like,
I wonder why.
yeah. Partially through Coriander, but also like, seeing Bilbo in his role,
Yeah.
kind of, guiding us and stuff. And so that has rubbed off on Cal. And so yeah, that's the stuff that I haven't yet picked. There's a couple of not choices, but things that you get with that counselor path, so I'm filling that in. But so that's the main choice. And that feels right for Cal. And similar to Bolo, and I'm sure everybody did this with their characters in the previous campaign, you sort of cast forward, even though you knew the adventure was coming to an end, you sort of think, where is this character going? And what are they going to do in the years that follow? And so I see Caloran just kind of continuing that path, growing, and being sort of a figure between the Shire and Bree and other places and stuff. And so it's just kind of neat thinking about that stuff.
That's very cool. I feel like Mayor is somewhere in Cal's future, possibly, especially
maybe.
Like a mayor who's constantly going to Bree and elsewhere, like establishing relations among people
right, negotiating trade deals and stuff like
exactly. Everything took over, and they became a powerful economic authority within the realm of Cal. Anyway, very cool. I am excited to see how that will play out. And it's good to have Brad with us, and it's also good, of course, to have the amazing, incredible Tari Tunes with us, who is here and is ready to go and is set. Tari, it is good to see you as always. How are you doing? How's life in the universe with you? And not only who are you playing, but what cool new things does Granny the Scholar get now going forward?
Well, I'm glad you're asking, dearie. I, Granny Lavender Hopesinger, who is now a level 3 scholar, am getting... what am I getting besides more hit points? A bunch of things. Okay, so first of all, my Hands of a Healer ability, which is like basically a healing ability that allows me to heal people during rests.
Mm-hmm.
I now get to add my proficiency bonus to all of the rolls, which would be +3. Then
oh no!
I gain expertise in 2. I chose Nature and Perception, which is really nice. And expertise means that I get a double proficiency bonus added.
Yep.
For those unawares. Then I got to choose a Scholar Tradition, which is basically this system's version of subclasses. And like for Scholars, it's the Scholar Traditions, which had me choose between Healing and something else that I have to look up. The other one was Lore. That's right. But yeah, I went with Healing because, Granny is a healer. That was like the whole point why I went with the Scholar class for her.
Plus, you get to use things known as Wise Leechcraft, which I feel like is
exactly. We will get to that.
Yeah.
So basically, it just means that I'm a specialized healer. That is my thing, which entails bonus proficiencies, which means that I now have expertise both on my medicine skill and in the usage of herbalism kits. Or herbalism. Whomever you want to ask about the pronunciation.
Herbalism.
Yeah, I have like a friend from England who like really hates it when you don't pronounce the H in herbs. And beyond that, I have the Wise Leechcraft ability now, or feat, I guess, which oh god, it does a bunch of things. It basically makes me gooder and more often healing. That is good English, right?
Yes, it's perfect English.
Perfect English.
Healing more often, gooder.
Hmm?
So basically, I get to add a bunch of modifiers to a bunch of healing related rolls. But more interestingly, I now have 2 separate ways of giving Bardic Inspiration, which is called Rhymes of Lore die here, or Lore die. The regular ones can be used for any skill, but now I additionally have equal to my Wisdom modifier, which would be 3, just to be used on medicine rolls. And if those are used on medicine rolls, like I don't fully understand this whole thing, I automatically add the maximum result to the roll.
Right. I think that mostly
so why
has
do
to
I
do
get
with.
to?
I
Yeah.
think it's when if you were trying to determine, for instance, the nature of a particular poison. Like if you think back to the poison deal that we had with Erebor Adventures, where it was like, what poison is this? And it was oh god, a Tawny bear, like Tawny had to like figure out the poison that was being used or whatever. Like this would be a version of that where you would be getting the highest possible lore benefit to something along those lines for this. So which makes sense. As the quote says, the leechcraft of Gondor was still wise and skilled in the healing of wound and hurt and all such sickness as east of the sea mortal men were subject to, or in this case mortal hobbits. Yeah. So
And one man.
Yeah, and
Might
one
be
man a break.
mortal. We don't know. We haven't seen him die yet. We
That's
don't know
true.
if
That's true. Titch has not died, so mortality maybe.
Mortal. I mean, technically, like if we go by Schrödinger, like everybody is at the same time immortal and mortal because we don't know until they die, right?
That's true. And when Titch eventually ends up crushed beneath the door, we won't know if he's alive or dead under there either, right?
Exactly.
Schrodinger's guard, if you will.
When Titch dies, I think he should turn into a glowing bear.
What do you mean when? If
I have the image of him turning
Is
into a
that what she
glowing
saw?
Titch, like just standing by the gate, eating ghostly chickens and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It was you all along.
Oh, that's why he always eats so many chickens, because then when he dies, or if he dies, pardon, he gets to eat the ghosts of all the chickens again that he has eaten.
That's actually a pretty good
life?
deal now that I think of it.
Yeah, right.
That's good stuff. Any other things, Tari, or is that
But HP is 15 now.
is 16, I think.
16?
Yeah. I
Wait,
had
what was I
Coriander.
before?
I had Coriander at
Oh, I
27.
was 11. Yeah.
Cal
I was
at
11,
24.
so I was-
Granny at 16, and Titch at 28.
Yes. Oi.
That was what I had. So,
Yes, that's me.
that is good stuff. And also, I'll mention this briefly, that Tari and Tren are going to be part of a new campaign that I will very briefly mention right after we're done with intros. But always a pleasure to have Tari with us. And Tren, always a pleasure to have you with us in the not yet dead category of, Titch character play. But it's good to see you, Tren. How's life in the universe with you, other than you being, I know, exceedingly tired, as we have discussed with other people? How are you doing otherwise? And who are you playing, and what awesomeness has Titch now gained as well?
Well, we played on a week ago on Tuesday, and before the end of that day, I had finished leveling up Titch. So I've been on the ball, and in the process realized how much stuff I had left off the character sheet.
He walks in, he's just super bulked up. It's like, I've been doing some work,
like at level 2, I was supposed to choose a fighting style, and I did. I chose protection, but I didn't put it on my sheet, so I didn't remember that he is capable of extending his shield to protect a friend of his and give them a bonus to their armor class.
Right.
So everybody who got hurt in the last thing, who got like so close to dying, I'm like, oh, I could have helped with that.
But actually, when you were fighting the orc, though, correct me if I'm wrong, weren't you using a spear two-handed there? I think you were, like, you both were, because you said at one point, you're like, I'm also doing this. Yeah. With the two-handed thing. So anyway, just something to keep in mind. That is an interesting item, though, that fighting, it won't just obviously be, I'm just going to use two-handed spear for more damage. Like, you might want to have the shield up there because of the defensive bonus for your allies. So, okay. So we have that. But you also got other cool stuff at third level,
I
though.
did. Well, and at second level that I didn't realize, and stuff at first level that I didn't realize. Why I realized what I hadn't put on the thing. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, where did this handcraft and keen weapon come from? Because I could not remember ever. I was like, who was modifying my character sheet while I wasn't looking? I'm like, I didn't put this here. And I'm like, wait a minute. I go looking through the book and I'm like, I have no idea where this is. And I'm like looking and looking and looking. I'm like, okay, there it is. Wait. Oh, wait. Yeah, I do remember now. Crap. Okay, so yeah, I went with the handcraft because at one point he was working on his spear and making it better, which is why it is a keen weapon, which
Right.
is why I have the expanded critical of making a critical on a 19 or a 20. I'm like, okay, now I remember that. Okay, that's fine. And at level 2, I got the protection fighting style, which allows me to extend, an AC bonus to my friends. As a captain, I had leadership, which I didn't remember. Which basically, as soon as combat starts, my eyes are still not focusing it. I woke up about 6 minutes before Arv sent the link for the call, and so like, what does that say? It's type is so tiny. Oh, but I can give everybody temporary hit points.
Nice.
I'm glad we picked this up a session and a half before we're done. That's
right.
yeah.
I mean, it's perfect time to learn about it. I completely forgot to put his lure of power on there for his potential corruption path and everything. I'm like, right, I should be paying attention to that, which is part of the reason why he was so angry at the end of the fight, because he didn't get to hit anybody and he wouldn't let anybody heal him. I'm like, okay, we're going with that. Lure of power, that's his thing. Okay, yeah, all right, got it. Okay, fine. But then at level 3, I have to pick a new character refined path. And
yes.
The two of them were Chieftain, which sounded weird because I don't consider him a captain, let alone a chieftain. And the other one, as soon as I read it, I had to go with it. As soon as I read the title, I had to go with it. But as soon as I read the description, I was like, okay, yes, this is much more Titch. His captain title is Thane.
Yep. We have to have a Thane. Thane
Wow.
Titch. Yep. It's amazing.
Yep. And so
tell them what you get, Thane Titch, at level 3 for this
at
thing.
3rd level, you receive a title as a reward for your accomplishment. Good. Choose Captain or Thane, which I did. Both detail, blah, 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 blah. You have sworn service to a king. I don't think there's a king in Bree.
No, probably be like...
there's a king in Hobbiton, but, whatever. We'll make it work. We'll call...
the mayor of Bree, right?
Okay, sure. To serve as one of their chosen fighters. As long as war must be, you stand ready to protect the innocent and destroy your lord's enemies.
Seems about right.
And because of that, I gain an ability called Bright Blade. As a bonus action, you can imbue a melee weapon that you are holding with your bravery. For 1 minute, you add your charisma modifier to attack rolls made with that weapon with a minimum of +1. For the duration of the effect, when you hit a creature, the next attack roll against the target made by an attacker other than me has advantage. So I can impose advantage for anybody who comes after me in the turn, which is
Nice.
very similar to how my mastermind rogue worked, but I could do it at 30 feet. So, yeah.
It's good stuff. And then you
Mastermind?
short or long rest to use this feature again.
Yeah.
But are you sworn to? I'm sworn to carry your burdens. Yes.
Thank you, Lydia.
Probably illness. Oh man. Anyway, very exciting, and it's awesome. Yeah, and it would be fun to think about what the sort of future would hold for these characters, but. We will not know too much of that because, as I previously mentioned, we have 2 sessions left of this. I do want to mention that both Tren and Tari are going to be part of our new, starting in December, Beowulf campaign. So we will be wrapping up Lord of the Rings role-playing Shire Adventures next month, and then starting in December will be Beowulf with a new overlay, video, music. It is a duet system, and it will involve Tari and Tren at alternating every other week, so basically ish. launch. So basically, once a month, Trent will be doing one adventure. Once a month, Tara will be doing an adventure of Beowulf, and eventually may end up tying back together as they will be in the same world, although adventuring differently. And in case anyone's interested, Handiwork Games that makes this has just today launched a Kickstarter for King Beowulf, which are the kingdom rules, literally almost rules on how to adventure as a kingdom leader. It's going to be cool, and something that we'll think about down the line, so we shall see. But anyway, that's going to be coming soon. But in the meantime, we have got these lovely folks with us for Shire Adventures. So let's get rolling and move into Soothing a Savage Beast.
Get rolling. Which die?
Yes. Dude, let's get prepared to roll. Maybe I should put it that way.
Wait.
I'm going to fire up some music. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Mal, you did all your work and you're ready to go. I apologize. Yes. So tell me what new awesomeness Coriander has gained at level 3.
Well, so as a treasure hunter, Coriander gets to pick either a specialty at level 3, either to be a burglar or a spy. And of the two, it's very, very obvious to me. Burglar is what she is set up for.
Yeah.
Hers are
or is she? Then she would be a spy.
That's what a spy would say. Oh, I'm totally a burglar. Wait.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, So, burglar, yours are the venerable arts of pickpocketing, lockpicking, or otherwise getting hold of the possessions of others and accessing protected areas. So beneath that, at 3rd level, you get a choice between either clever-handed or tree climber, both of which are very, very tempting and very, very on brand for her. With clever-handed, you can use the bonus action granted by your cunning action to make a dexterity sleight of hand check, or to take the use an object action. So just like imagining Coriander in the heat of battle, doing card tricks, basically.
Mm-hmm.
No. Anyway,
I have good news for you, Mel. It is not or. Clever-handed and tree climber are both yours once you have selected the burglar feat or burglar specialty. So you get both of these.
Because I was totally going to choose tree climber instead, but okay.
Now you have both.
Hooray!
Mm-hmm.
That's delightful.
Yep.
Basically, I mean, cynically speaking, both the spy ones were based in intelligence and wisdom checks, and Coriander is a creature of instinct and dexterity. It just made more sense. Even though I think that, again, if I were looking to the future, it'd be really interesting. I would want a plot hook to take her in the spy direction.
Right. Because she was even leaping on the backs of trolls and things like that, which seem more like tree climber-ish, plus the repossession of objects too. So
exactly, she's a tumbler by nature. So I'm delighted. Clever-handed. Tree climber, also at 3rd level, you gain the ability to climb faster than normal. Climbing no longer costs you extra movement, and in addition, you can add your dexterity modifier to strength, athletics checks you make to climb or jump, and to the distance you cover in feet when you make a running jump. Just gonna mosey on over and remind people that inexplicably, truly through the randomness of chance, Coriander's dexterity bonus is 5, so she can actually jump. I don't know about you guys. Jumping 5 feet is already its own kind of astonishing feat to me. But yeah, she can add 5 feet to the distance that she covers when she makes a running jump. Just a bouncy little tumbler. That's what she is.
10-foot jump right over Anduin, right over the building.
That's the thing. Never again will anyone have to cross a river by trying
right with this log and jumps over.
In the 70s Rankin Bass animated version of The Hobbit, there's a scene where right as Bilbo is escaping because Gollum is looking for him, and he's like, he's not here, and Bilbo says "ta-ta" and jumps over him.
Yeah, that's right. Well, right. I mean that amazing leap in the dark in The Hobbit, even in the book, an incredible leap.
That's also the book.
Yeah. Does so in a long jump without hitting his head on the roof. So that's a big deal. Anyway,
runs in the family.
Very much on the tradition. Yes.
They made a book out of that. Anyway,
cute.
Anyway, I think that's it for me. Having made that fundamental choice, I think that is the thing. Just choosing the specialty, proficiency bonus, still 2. My sneak attack goes from being 1d6 to being 2d6.
Yeah, because you don't do enough damage on sneak attacks.
Oh,
rogues do so much on sneak attacks. It's crazy. So that's good stuff. Coriander, it is exciting.
Can I show you?
Please
ask
go.
about mine as well. So I need help on this one because I want to know how to use it during the adventure. So the last thing that I got, I'm pasting in here. Did that show up?
Yeah.
Words of guard.
Words of guard and guarding. Guard and guiding. Starting at 3rd level, you can use a bonus action to make a charisma check or take the help action. Okay, that sort of makes sense, but I don't know why would I want to make a charisma check randomly. And what does the help action do? Help somebody in battle?
Yes. So the help action is actually, I think, underused in 5e, and that's for a variety of reasons. Basically, what help is doesn't have to be just combat. Actually, it has 2 things. One is that you can gain advantage on the next ability check that it makes to perform the task you're helping with, assuming that makes narrative sense. So, like, if you're like trying to someone is like, I'm trying to, perceive this lock on a door so I can, like, say, Coriander was like, that spoon does not belong on that person's table. Totally doesn't, clearly belongs in my bag. That's what's calling out to me. You could actually assist in that check by doing the help action. Alternatively, you could also aid a friendly creature in attacking a creature that's within 5 feet of you. But the thing is, as I'm sure you were about to note, is that typically it's within 5 feet of you in 5e rules. However, you will note that if you look at your character sheet under this words of guards and guiding, the target of the attack can be within 30 feet of you. So when you're like doing your thing, as a bonus action, you can be like, suck it, like over there, and like have the guy like, and then like give the advantage to someone else as a bonus action. Now, bonus actions are not unlimited. You only get one, but you can't do multiple bonus actions. But having a bonus action means that you've got your move, you've got your attack or standard action, and then you have free actions or whatever. That's a separate issue. But as far as like actual mechanics, a bonus action can be very beneficial in doing that help. So in combat, there's no reason, Cal, that you can't spend a lot of that time being like, hey, what up? Look, like making all these like,
or watch out over there. Or,
Nuber and Baldur's Gate. Hey,
it very much like Legolas saying their armor is thin at the neck and under the arm.
Yeah, right.
Same sort of thing. You're helping people. That's how my mastermind rogue did it, because he had the same sort of thing. At 30 feet, he could. Okay. But for him, it was imposing advantage on something.
And then what is the charisma check? Why would I do that? What is that for?
So the making a charisma check, I'm not 100% sure what this is. I'm guessing that if you're in a scenario where, let's say, someone is trying to persuade, let's say you're trying to persuade someone to drop their weapons, right? Or you're trying to deceive them. You could be like, you can continue to attack us, and then the army of 25 rangers behind me will take out, like either deception or persuasion. During combat, that's usually a standard action to do that. This way, this is a bonus action. So you could actually use a bonus action and use words of guard and guiding to be like, you'll sing a different tune when Aragorn and his friends come to kill you 5 seconds from now or whatever, and you could deceive them by making that charisma check. So it can be beneficial in those contexts. So again, both help. The words of guard and guiding clearly are combat oriented because the bonus action thing only really applies when you're in initiative, but it's very valuable when it's an initiative anyway. So when you're in combat,
All right, that makes sense. All right, I know we want to get started, but we only have 2 adventures left, and I just saw this sitting up on my shelf, and I want to share it with everybody.
Okay.
I was into collecting memorabilia from Hobbit and Lord of the Rings for a while.
Okay.
And I bought this ages ago, and I never actually took it out of the plastic. So you're actually seeing this coming out. I'm getting stuck on the tape.
Congrats to the coming out.
So. Apparently there was like a there was a play of The Hobbit in 1989. Is it backwards for you guys, or can you read it?
No, it's right.
That's stunning.
It's really backwards for me. So it was just part of the stuff they gave out. It's just that it's just like a single page.
That's so beautiful.
Wow.
God, this is like, you said memorabilia, and I thought you just meant to do with the movies. This is so, and I was like, oh well, I'm not going to be jealous of that. I am so jealous of this. This is kind of
Yeah, I
like
know it's pretty
ephemera
neat.
to do with
Set it up in my
yeah.
shelf, my little brag shelf, along with my what is it? Eating.
Are you going to get it framed?
I had it just in what they sent it in, like forever. It's just in this like little stupid cardboard backing thing, and I just had it up there, and I'm like, I'm gonna get that framed at some point. And then sitting there, getting ready for the adventure, and I just happened to glance up there. I'm like, gosh, I should take that out and just take a look at it.
Yeah, live suing in chat is like, frame it, please frame it.
Please, yeah, I know, I'm terrified.
Frame,
like I see it fragile, like a
I know it's so
butterfly wing.
Stuff.
And if you get the right glass, it'll help keep it from fading over time and whatnot.
Yeah.
I just got something literally like a little while ago. I have an original piece of art by a friend of mine that I love, and I had like I bought it from her in 2019, and it was so precious an object that she lives in Australia and was going to Dublin Worldcon, and so was I. So she brought it to me by hand, handed it to me in like a protective case with like a hard back and stuff. And then I like carried it in my lap on the plane home because I was so afraid. And then I didn't get it framed for years because pandemic happened. But I finally got it framed, and you can get museum glass is what they call it. So it's not as reflective as regular glass. It helps like protect whatever's underneath from UV light. And it also just kind of gives you a clearer like access to the, It's really, really good, and it's not that much more expensive, honestly, than framing it with regular glass. It's like, I want to say like the difference is always like how much glass you're using, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's not that big a difference from like the same amount of glass, regular or museum. So
that's what I did for my dad had two Don Quixote oil paintings, and Don Quixote is kind of a touchstone in my life symbolically, and so the tooth, though I had that done exactly for that reason, like in, museum glass, because he had, my God, I mean, it's got to be, that painting is probably like 80 years old at this point. And it's a pair of them. One of them is Quixote and Sancho Panza charging the windmills, and the other one is them walking back after the lance is broken and everything because he's tilting at windmills. So yeah, that glass is really important for something like that. So it's good. Cool stuff. All right, well, let's get rolling. Let's get moving into the adventure. And I'm not going to bother to give much of a recap last time, except to say that the party did manage to bring the matter of the fireworks to a conclusion.
Fire worked out.
Cute. I see what you did there. It could have been they diffused a potentially explosive situation, and
don't start.
Ironically, considering that we're the pepper boxes, right?
Yes. Okay, I see it. I see you. I'm going to try to fuse that joke together with some other ones that I make right now. Anyway,
we're on fire.
And Caloran became a murderer. So Cal. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I apologize for sparking a pun more. There was no reason.
Who's that other little boy? Coriander.
Other little boy?
Coriander.
You mean
the other little boy?
Yeah.
Little boy?
Yeah.
Why are you always deliberately misgendering Coriander? This is a hate crime.
Because Titch can't tell.
Oh my god.
Which is why we had that incredibly funny conversation, like in the second or third episode. It was
very funny. It's very funny.
You don't think you can react to this spark of humor, Helmness? Well, I understand that. Listen, we'll try to keep this these players are lit, and I think it's important for us to keep it going. Anyway, okay, so anyway, as the numbers drop to 0 and everyone leaves.
I'm about to go too.
So right at the very end of the adventure, in our last session, a messenger came running to the party to explain that Bilbo and Balin, presumably, and of course the rest of the party was desperately wanted by none other than Farmer Maggot. Now, those of you who are not aware will not know that Farmer Maggot is a very prosperous hobbit farmer who is particularly famous for his mushrooms that are sort of the toast of the Shire and are often served on toast deliciously. And Farmer Maggot also although, by all accounts, a good and reputable person, does not like it when people come and perhaps steal some of those mushrooms. Now, I am in no way suggesting that anyone here in this party may have at some point engaged in any of this activity, either someone with a predilection towards repossessing and redistributing goods for the benefit of the masses, or to the grandmother of said person who may have at some point had reason to use mushrooms in a particular recipe or context. So since I'm sure
mushrooms.
I was going to say, since I'm sure none of that has ever happened, I say
mushrooms belong to everyone.
Yeah, right. Mushrooms are a public good.
How can someone but genuinely, it's barely even coriander talking at this point.
Yeah, just in general, like
mushrooms.
No, that's true.
They are spores that float in the air and then take, root and become fruiting bodies. You don't they get everywhere. How do you they're not
They're like sand.
They're rough and they get everywhere.
No, mushrooms are usually smooth.
Yeah. They're that's true. In any case, and also echo. I remember the cabbages, cabbage, potatoes, carrots. Oh my God, Bard's
So
tale.
is there a shortcut to get to these mushrooms?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're going to take a shortcut to get to these mushrooms, and in fact, we begin with all of you awakening again in comfortable beds. I'm sure that sounds good to everybody. Comfortable beds inside the farmhouse of Bamfurlong, which is the farm here. Now, I do want to remind everybody.
Are you saying Bamfurlong?
Bamfurlong. Yes.
Okay.
Bamfurlong I want to remind everybody that Farmer Maggot, at the time that we're doing this, is fairly young. So he has established his reputation for mushroom raising at a young age. But it is important to remember that this is not the relatively, seasoned hobbit that we get in Lord of the Rings. He is young and has decided that he wants to make his fortune as a farmer, even if he's in areas which could be theoretically more risky by Shire standards. So you were inside the farmhouse of Bamfurlong, and you wake to the scent of eggs and mushrooms cooking for a late breakfast. I do want to mention that if anyone has interest in having other things added to their omelets, whether it be ham or chicken,
bacon,
he said,
bacon.
looking at Titch, or any of those things, I think that can be accommodated. This food is delicious. Farmer Maggot may not have every spice known to Hobbit, but he certainly has every kind of good, wholesome food known as well. And
I kind of want Farmer Maggot to be like very, very generous with his like vegetables and mushrooms, and for us or this adventure to be the cause of him being stingy, like later on in life.
We're the reason
God.
I haven't been able to ever since those people. Yeah. That seems fair enough. And you have actually been here for a couple of days because it took you a day to get there, and they put you up, and then the next day, he said that it was, there wasn't time to talk business yet, and please rest. So without too much, I don't imagine any of you really were, arguing about that as you got to sleep in comfortable, super comfy beds with awesome food and so on. But this is the morning of the second day afterwards, and as a quick note to everyone, summer at this point we're in the years 1360 by Shire reckoning, and summer is waning. We are in the late summer age, or time, which seems to fit. So, sitting upon a long bench under the eaves of Bamfurlong, Farmer Maggot takes a long draw from his pipe and gazes out to a small ruined building on the far side of his wide farmlands. And he's... "Chickens," he says suddenly as he blows out a long line of blue-gray smoke. "It's because of my chickens that I sent my letter, Master Baggins." Any hint of jest fades away as he leans into you and your friends. "To be honest, I'm glad you have not come alone. When I saw that thing that night, blood in its teeth and fire in its eyes, I knew it was something beyond the ken of myself or any other folk in the East Farthing. It was a beast, I tell you, and not some hungry wolf that came up from Dunland starving. No, this was a black thing, as if its fur had been burnt like kindling. There ain't nothing natural about it. It set chills down my spine, and that's no easy task, mind you." And you sort of take in the very sturdy look of the farmer, and take in the fact that Amal has just left our Zoom call for a moment. Let me just wait for a second. I'm sure Mel will be back in a moment. Bacon from the bacon tree. Yeah.
So I have a question about Farmer Maggot and the Lord of the Rings in general. Is in the movie when he's chasing Merry and Pippin and you hear him scream, "You'll know the devil when I catch you," or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is there aside from what's his name? Is there the devil?
Morgoth.
Thank you. Aside from him, who is the devil that he's talking about? Or is that something that got thrown into the movie?
No. This is because the Lord of the Rings is a translation from Westron, right? And Tolkien did translate, change some names and words around on purpose for the reader to better understand it. Like, for example, Mary's name is Marion. Actual Westron, right?
Mm-hmm.
So presumably, this is one of those cases where, something along that means something like that, like a curse that just wouldn't translate directly, so it would just be replaced with,
with the devil. Yeah, kind of like one of those things that might have sort of, vanished into history. Of course, it should be pointed out that, Middle Earth is supposedly not some universe far, far away, right? There would be a common heritage and history to our own, albeit fantastical in nature. So there may be part of that's associated with it. And I'm showing you a picture, by the way, of the young Farmer Maggot.
And Hillness, only his voice. We never actually saw him.
We see his scythe, actually, that he's got above him as he goes through, but that's pretty much it.
Bobbing.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'll recapture quickly because you all know the drill with that. The minute I do that, the person will come back.
Well, we're only in narrative. We don't need to be seen.
Well, okay, fair enough. I guess so. That's true. All right.
Look, you can see my mouth. That's my work tool.
That's right. You can see Tari's crown, and you can see just the top of Brad's head. So I'm sure it'll be fine. Mal is back.
Which is where his incredible brain is. And there she is.
Yay! And
you're muted now, but yeah.
And
for absolutely no reason, it just died.
There you go.
It's been so long since that's happened. Sorry guys.
That is no problem. I am now showing a picture of a young Farmer Maggot on stream, Amel, when you want to take a look. Where did I lose you? I lose you at.
Okay, never mind. All right, cool.
Where did I lose you? Where I talk about the chickens? Did I mention that?
You were talking about what we could add to our breakfast. Everything is wholesome, and yeah. And
okay, so Farmer Maggot just started to talk, basically. Farmer Maggot says, Farmer Maggot says, "Chickens," he says suddenly as he blows out a long line of blue-gray smoke. "It's because of my chickens that I sent my letter, Master Baggins." Any hint of jest fades away as he leans into you and your friends. "And to be honest, I'm glad you've not come alone. When I saw that thing that night, blood in its teeth and fire in its eyes, I knew it was something beyond the ken of myself or any other folk in the East Farthing. It was a beast, I tell you, and not some hungry wolf that came up from Dunland starving. This was a black thing, as if its fur had been burnt like kindling, with nothing natural about it, and it set chills down my spine. That's no easy task, mind you. And as you look at Farmer Maggot, you can see that he is indeed like a sort of a sturdy. This does not look like the kind of person who would startle easily, He's sturdy, and he's kind of, at this point, he's not right next to everyone else, like in society. Like he's I wouldn't say isolated, but he's a little more distant than others might be. So, by Shire reckoning, he's actually taken a bit of a risk here in where he set up his farm. I just realized I have to change my my title.
To smooch a sandwich beast.
There we go. To soothe a savage beast. That's what we're looking at. Okay. So he says, when I heard it growl at me, we locked eyes, and I saw naught but a lust for death in its gaze. It meant to kill more than my chickens in their coop that night. I grabbed a lantern in one hand, you see, and my chopping axe. If it was going to take me, I wasn't going down without a fight. Before I knew what happened, it was on me, crossing the field in a bound and pinning me to the soil, snarling and slavering. Maggot's eyes glaze over in memory, and you see him tremble at the recollection. Well, in a fit, I swung my lantern up, and it shattered, pouring oil upon its muzzle. It yelped and screamed as the fire blazed, and it fled into the dark. The last thing I saw before it disappeared toward the Brandywine were those horrible, fiery eyes. And he sort of is silent, looks at all of you for a minute.
There it is.
He said, and then it was there. He sets his pipe on the bench beside him, setting it aflame. I was just thinking like everything turns on fire. It's still out there. I swear I've seen it beyond the edges of Bamfurlong on more than one night since then, those eyes burning into me from the dark. And if the stirrings from Buckland are any hint, it's causing no end of trouble there too. And he looks to Bilbo. Master Bilbo, sir, I was hoping that you and your friends here might help me and the Buckland folk put a stop to that foul thing's hunting before it gets a taste for something more than chickens. And he kind of pauses and leans back. And you, despite the sort of sunniness of the morning and the deliciousness of the omelet and all that, it's hard not to feel as if the light is slightly darkened in the room at the tale that Maggot has described. And he sort of sits back, and Bilbo kind of takes a deep breath, and he says, well, normally, Maggot, I'd, of course, be more than willing to help, but, well, I've begun to have second thoughts of late, I must say, about adventuring, and, well, I've put these people here, and he kind of points at all of them, family and friends alike, in danger, and I've got to be more careful about that going forward, and I don't know that I just can't risk them on my say-so. And he kind of looks at all of you and he says, you're going to have to decide if this is something you want to be a part of. I can't put you all at risk again, not at least on my account. And so Maggot sort of says nothing, just sort of gazes at all of you steadily.
So you say this thing is eating your chickens?
Well, more than my chickens. Oh, sorry, that's Bilbo's voice. More than my chickens. My worry, it's going to start eating me and other people
But for
around
now,
here.
it's eating your chickens.
That's right, yeah.
All right, I don't need the competition. I'm in.
He takes several of them at a time, throws them into pits, wastes them. Just increase it. Okay. He's so...
He slow cooks them with spices. He said like a man would.
Oh, man. I saw him carrying in one paw a shish kebab just the other day.
Cal says,
What are you quoting?
Wait, question. Does the description of this beast sound like Warg from Bilbo's stories about them?
Hard to say. The thing that's weird about it is the description of it having this kind of blackened, burnt fur. That's something you don't remember hearing per se, although you do remember Bilbo's story of Gandalf throwing lit pine cones onto the fur of wargs. But he doesn't say... Maggot didn't describe it as being much larger than a normal wolf, but just... He also didn't get a great look at it because it was in the darkness and kind of was, the eyes are the things that he noticed the most. Yeah.
Does this ring any bells to Granny, since she's like the matriarch type?
Let me have you make a nature check.
Yeah. Very nice. I have the wrong tab open. There it is. Oh, very nice.
21.
The way that this is described, so part of it is, this does sound like a wolf of some kind, Granny, that's being described. But the thing that stands out to you that you have not heard about before are two elements of the story which Maggot came back to several times. One is, as I've already described, the burnt fur, which is something that seems like any animal can get burnt, but then the fact that it's being described as like still burned somehow, like not, like perpetually dealing with whatever this problem is, seems strange. And then the second thing, which is sort of more disturbing, is the fear element, because you certainly do know, having heard stories of Farmer Maggot, that if anything, Maggot at this age is seen as rather reckless, that, he's willing to like take risks and like put himself out there and put his farm out there, even though, without much other than, he has these like young puppies that he says he's going to raise to guard dogs someday, but I mean, like who knows how long it's going to be for that. So basically, like, he's the opposite of cowardly. So the fact that he keeps making reference to fear and that he was like really freaked out by this seems very odd to you, and that's not what a normal wolf would typically do. Other than just sort of, I'm afraid of being hurt by a wolf, but not in the way of having this like being stalked almost, which is the other thing. Most creatures would not be sort of night after night kind of prowling around waiting for a moment to attack, right? Like that sounds like an odd thing to do. They would go and seek, easier game, or they would go elsewhere, but then it seemed to be focusing on Maggot and his land, which seems odd.
So assuming that this might be a warg, how much would we like even know about warg beside what Bilbo told us?
Not very much. Only basically what Bilbo told you. It's been a long time.
So like there are no like wargs like in the Shire.
There was not now. There was a time when the Brandywine froze over, when wargs did cross over the river, but that is so long ago that no one has any like direct memory of it. And also, people sometimes have a tendency.
Is good for something after all.
Yeah, exactly, right. Well, this is the thing too, is that like a lot of times people are just like, oh, that was big enough to be a warg, but like, okay, it's like people saying you have that dog's big enough to be a horse. Okay, it's a big dog. Like people exaggerate a bit, right?
Like when people mistake crows for ravens.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like the first time that you see a moose, you realize what actually huge animal looks like, right? Like that kind of thing. So it may be some. Or what did you say?
An okapi.
An okapi.
First time I saw an okapi, like what the hell? I thought these were like vaguely cow or horse sized.
Huge, yeah. So just so you don't this. So basically, it sounds like a wolf, except for some parts of the description that sound much more than what a wolf typically does. But a warg the warg is very large, and you would think that would have been mentioned. But he didn't say that it was very large, just very terrifying.
Are wolves a thing in the Shire?
There have been occasionally on the edges of it, yes. Not often, but occasionally, yep.
Like I assume that like the...
But they tend to be not like starving and thin and kind of like got off their usual path.
What are they called again? Like the militia? Is it just the militia? Like
or the sheriffs or the bounders?
The sheriffs. Yeah. Right. Who like I assume they like keep them out.
That's a full for the sheriffs. That's a full committee meeting. Like we got a wolf, like 15 sheriffs assembled across the Shire. Yeah.
Sleep well, Amal.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mike. It just.
No problem.
Leftover exhaustion from last session.
Yes, this is not. It is definitely not because of this session in particular. It's because of leftover real life.
Incredibly comfy bed,
Right, and the right. It's delicious, and the omelet just settles nicely on the.
So Granny would like. She's like probably sitting in a comfortable chair, the most comfortable chair in the room, which is probably Maggot's chair himself.
Which seems fine. He's not bothered by it.
Are there like any tracks or anything we could maybe have a look at from like a recent encounter?
He says, well, I've never actually found any tracks, but I've only seen the beast at night. But I think it's may have crossed over to Buckland at least now. Like I said, I've been hearing there's issues up there. You could start by crossing the Brandywine over at Buckleberry Ferry, and if you were to go up this night, well, now during the day before it gets to be night, you could maybe get up there when it's in that general direction. I haven't found any tracks yet, but it's possible that it's looking for something else first before it comes back to bother me.
It's that damn bear all over again.
Oh, maybe it's your bear after all.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, we finally found the bear.
Yes. Can you maybe move the tokens out of the way so that we can see what's
Yes,
happening?
I can. And in fact, I can do better than that. I will move you to...
The local map?
A new map.
I was going to ask a question about the old map, but...
Well, sorry, but too bad, because now you have a new map. Okay, let me reduce the size of Farmer Maggot here.
Granny is huge!
Okay.
Is she?
And you can bring your characters in here if you'd like. Okay.
Oh, that's what I get from smoking too much.
Yep, that's what does it. Okay. So the idea here is then to basically to follow, to kind of cross over the Brandywine and to head towards the Buckleberry Ferry would be one possibility of what you could do. And let's see. I think we have... Yeah, it's the Brandywine. Okay, right. Okay. So his recommendation is that they do that as they head up towards the ferry, because that's more likely to be where they go. Maggot also says that he is obviously concerned for himself, but he's also concerned for the people of Buckland that may not be ready for something like this, that may not be able to handle something like this. Because he, although he's used to being a little bit more isolated, is frightened enough. He can't imagine what something like this would frighten good, honest, civilized hobbits, as he puts it, and how that would affect them. And also, it's generally not considered a tough trip up the causeway towards Buckleberry Ferry, usually.
Buckleberry Ferry. Cool.
Oh, that's a red line. That one that goes over the river. That's a ferry. Or what's happening?
I believe that's right. Because Brandywine Bridge is up here. So I think the ferry is... I think this is the ferry here. Would be that side.
Can you put the party token down?
Sure. Let me just grab it from the other thing.
Locks.
Copy. And
zoom in to try to read what that says, but it doesn't help. Okay.
Paste. Okay, so there's the party.
Oh,
Way down there by the marsh.
So, how far or how long would it take us to get to the river? The ferry?
He says that he doesn't think it would take. It's a fairly easy path if they were to, leave sometime around midday. That they probably would be able to get there, by early evening. Probably would be his guess. Fairly civilized road.
Right. In that case, Granny would say, well, I don't suppose you want to pack us some food then for the road?
And he says, I'll be happy to do any of that, of course. I have a basket full of mushrooms I could provide, and assuming that I have any chickens left, I can... He sort of says that casually as like we look at Titch's plate that's just like piled with carcasses, right? Assuming I have any left, either from wolf or other sources, I'd be happy to send a few of those along, the cooked ones, along with you.
Titch here certainly has been wolfing these chickens down, so...
He nods and, he doesn't smile. He's like, I'm not, it's nothing to joke about. This is a terrible beast. Oh, man. So if people have other questions for him, you can ask that, but otherwise that's basically what he thinks he knows about it.
When did he say this started happening?
He says it happened probably about a week ago. And over the last week, pretty much at least 3 or 4, probably every night, actually, probably about 6 or 7 nights, he's seen the beast again. The first time when it attacked him was the first night, like night number 1. And he sent for you after like the 4th night or so, when he had first, when he finally was like, I need to bring in some help. And he figured that Bilbo was a good option, both because he knew about Bilbo's reputation for having encountered wolves in the wilderness, but also because of the fact that you as a group have built up a little bit of a reputation too, as being able to help manage something like this.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, Coriander is going to sort of say, and in general, Coriander has been kind of quiet about this. Every time Bilbo's like, oh, I couldn't ask you to blah, blah, blah. I think she's twitching slightly internally, like, just not believing him and feeling a little like just the lack of there is something dishonest about it that itches at her and she doesn't like it.
Oh.
But
I don't know if this changes things. I would say he seems genuinely like bothered by like the adventure last time really seemed to have shook him up for whatever that's worth.
Well, in that case, Coriander has not been like her usual bubbly, voluble self here, but because she has some dark things went down last time.
Right.
She killed a dude, and anyway, in this case, she's been kind of quiet, even if though like she's chuckled at Granny's jokes and stuff. But or tittered rather. Not chuckled sounds more muttery. Point is, she has been just kind of quietly eating her food and like enjoying the mushrooms a lot. But she does kind of pipe up now to say, Farmer Maggot, you say the creature appeared last week. Was there anything else about that time that was maybe out of the ordinary or unusual? Would anything else strange happen?
And he thinks about it and he says, I can't say as there's anything in particular that stood out. No. I mean, well, there has been some strange goings on, at least it feels that way. The weather's been a little odd. It's late summer, you'd still think we'd have some warmth left in us, but there's been some darkness, well, I don't know, kind of a foreboding, I guess you might say. But I'm sure that's silly, it's probably just nonsense, but it does sort of fix on my mind sometimes that it feels strange a little bit.
Has anyone else been getting attacked?
Not that I've heard of, no. It seems like it's been spending most of its time worrying about me. That's what made me so worried when I saw it running up to the north. If it is on its way to Buckland, there's a lot more people there that it could harass or do worse to.
Well, I think it's probably important that we help. And so, a truly ridiculous statement coming from like a very small, very young, not of age hobbit.
Man.
But she seems quite determined, and she punctuates her remark by setting down her cup of tea that she was drinking at the same time, and just kind of goes, "Well, we should certainly help. Thank you very much for all of these delicious mushrooms. They are absolutely lovely."
And he nods. Go ahead, Cal.
You didn't by chance see a collar or even maybe a sign that there was a collar, a matted area around its neck or something like that, did you?
No.
A sign that it was a trained beast in some way.
No, in fact, if anything, it seemed, well, totally savage, as if it were thinking only its own thoughts, if you follow what I mean. It was, as I say, I've only seen it in the dark, though. It's possible beneath the blackened fur that there might be something, a collar or something below that I wouldn't have been able to see. But even when it was on top of me, all I saw were the slavering jaws and those eyes, and, of course, the fire on it when it went yelping into the darkness. I didn't see a collar, though.
Did it perchance have like something like foam or anything around the maw?
I would say, well, there was lots of dripping saliva for sure. It might have been foam, possible, but it was definitely, it was hungry for something. Me, that occasion.
Did it smell of anything strange beyond what a beast in the wild might smell like?
Yes. It smelled of sulfur, it did. Sulfur and burnt hair. It was, not pleasant.
Rotten eggs. Delicious.
Did it have perhaps a little hat? A tiny car? No.
Well, chickens or no chickens, I think it needs to be dealt with.
I'm mostly worried that it might be infected somehow and might end up, infecting livestock and whatnot.
Yeah, Granny, you have not answered yet as to whether you're in on this. Cal, coriander.
Oh, she
and
like asked for provisions for the road.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Figured
Well,
that
okay,
was,
fair enough. I guess that's assumed. Yes.
Yeah.
It was looking
Maybe
for
you're just gonna take him home.
Imagine a
explicit
grandpa ever
consent.
speaking straight.
You have provisions for the road for me to go home. That's really what I do. So he provides you several large baskets that are covered over, and I don't know, Chad, how many of you, I'm sure some of you have had the experience of having warm bread. Let me tell you that warm bread, you can say it's a gimmick in some fancy hotels or whatever, restaurants, whatever. I don't give a damn. Warm bread is good. There is warm bread. There are also many fresh and freshly washed mushrooms. He also puts something which I'm sure will be to the liking of Tari the player, and that is a half a, not a wheel, but like, trying to think of what the next one down, like a block of cheese, basically. Yeah, but it's a good sized wedge though.
Nice.
I thought you were gonna say the little waffles.
Oh yeah.
The
Oh, those are also
waffles.
amazing. Those are great. Those are great too. So he does that, and of course also makes sure that your water skins are, filled and ready to go. And just before you set off on the causeway, he says, "If I may, of course you know your own business the best, but I'd make sure that you keep your eyes open, not just for this beast." He kind of looks around and he says, "It's just a whisper on the wind somehow. Sometimes a shiver of cold coming in before it should. But there's something that feels, like I say, not quite right. And I'd hate for you to get into any terrible trouble on my account. I'm grateful that you're looking into this for me, and I'll make sure to send word ahead as I can so that people can help you when needed, and when the opportunity arises. And if you are able to take care of it, well, I can promise you that fresh mushrooms and bread and whatever of farm goods I can provide will be yours gratis going forward."
Well, we are not going to be getting into any terrible trouble, surely. Just into regular trouble, as we do. And then she elbows Coriander.
What? Daddy, did you?
Just
Coriander
nod
looks
and say
hurt.
yes.
Coriander just pouts and eats another mushroom.
They are very good, by the way. So you set off down the causeway. Oh, go ahead,
We
Cal.
slosh along the causeway, you mean?
I'm saying again.
We slosh along the causeway.
Slosh
Because
along the
we're all
causeway.
probably full.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh god, that's true. Yes.
Roll along the causeway.
Yes, exactly. You kind of roll yourselves along. And for the first couple hours of the trip, you take a leisurely pace. The sun is shining. You're all feeling fairly comfortable and well rested and all that. But as time goes on and you stop several times for food and meals of mushrooms and bread and water and things like that, and chicken and cheese, all that kind of good stuff.
Eggs and crumbs and milk and grain.
Yes, and all the ships at sea. As you are heading north, though, as you may reach the late afternoon, the sky becomes clouded, and a kind of grayness sets in. Amal will appreciate this is kind of a gray that was over much of Ottawa this past weekend when we were there, and kind of the sense of the darkness seems to come faster than it ought to. And as you are heading up onto the ferry, or heading towards where the ferry is going to be, maybe about an hour or less away now, you feel, all of you, a growing sense of dread beginning to creep over you. It feels a little bit like what it might feel like for, say, a rabbit to sense a nearby predator. And it's a disheartening feeling that's sort of seeping into your very bones. Maybe part of this has to do with what you encountered down in the mines, and this is still kind of like on your mind. The mind is on your mind. But you feel the quality of this sort of seeping into you.
Coriander,
Yes.
without realizing what she's doing, just kind of huddles into her granny a little bit. She's like, she's wearing a cloak, and but she's still like, just kind of like shivering a little bit, and just kind of nuzzles into Granny like a cat.
Witty, do you have a fever or something? And she like feels her forehead.
Oh,
It's very warm out today.
Things feel weird. I don't like it. There's a bad feeling.
What kind of bad feeling? Can you describe it further?
I don't know. Are we all feeling it?
All of you, I would say, are
Yeah.
feeling this to some level.
Well, of course, Miranda might not know that Granny's feeling that way too.
Yeah, that's true. And she's assuming not, but just making sure. You know, it's like when sometimes when you come home and there's nobody home, but it feels like there's somebody there, but they're not supposed to be there. But you know that your parents aren't home, but something is in the house and it shouldn't be. And you're in the house, and then it knows that you're in the house, and then you're like, oh no, do I go into the house? And then you're like, but is it my imagination? And then you're standing there in the doorway, and the chill is getting in, but you just know you shouldn't go inside because something bad is there. That's how it feels.
Third
Usually
one.
I would tell you that you are listening to your Uncle Bilbo too much, telling his stories, but
Bilbo's
something is
like,
off here, yeah.
I was gonna say,
Right, he's with us.
Right there, yeah.
She said that even
What
louder, making
cheek,
sure
you
that
know?
he hears. that he hears that.
I should note, by the way, for the party that we have 6 fellowship points here. The reason is because, remember, you get 1 fellowship point for every one of you, and because Bilbo is your patron, you get an additional +2. So you have 6 fellowship points to work with.
And because Titch is friendly and
Oh,
familiar,
right.
you get an extra one.
That's right. So 7. That's right. I forgot about that.
And
What was that one?
also, I think I give 1 more.
Okay, let's make sure we know.
Because we should have 8.
I can't imagine why I'm telling everyone
Yeah.
about fellowship need points, just in case.
At Three's Company, I give the group 1 more.
All right, so 8.
Granny, by the way, like on the road, like keeps like an eye out if she like smells rotten eggs or like sees like any black fur tufts at the side of the road or anything like that, like any kind of like thing that could like be a track.
I would like you to make a perception check for me, Granny.
Sir, which you also have expertise in now, which is fantastic. That's a 16.
Yeah, you don't see or smell anything in particular, but you, like everyone else, feel that sort of dread sneaking in, the sort of kind of a malaise, you might almost say. I'm going to come back
sauce
to
or something.
I'm going to come back to something that you might have seen, actually. I'm going to need each of you, please, to make a charisma saving throw for me
Wow.
as you're walking up this road.
Mysterious.
Quickly, as we're kind of going through that second ability on Three's Company, it says whenever you spend fellowship points, choose a number of companions. I don't know if that means like when I personally spend fellowship points, like when I make a roll and spend it or something. Anyway, I can choose a number of companions, which can include myself, who can see me up to twice my proficiency bonus. So all of us could get it, and we each gain inspiration.
Okay.
So
No, I think
that
that's
like-
you. I think that's when you would be like, I'm using a fellowship point to get this
Okay.
benefit for the group.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
And then does that inspiration last until each of us uses it next?
I would
Kind of-
suspect that's true. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty powerful, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Can you use it over and over, or just the one time?
I pasted in the thing.
Oh, whenever
Wait,
you spend. Yeah. I see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess.
It's good stuff. Okay, let's see what we've got. Wow. All right. So,
Charisma saving throw?
We are
a
all
saving
great
throw.
at this.
Yes, charisma save is what I'm looking for.
Oh.
Like
Jeez.
all of you
We're
take
all very charismatic people, I think.
clearly all of you take 2 shadow points.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Wait,
you're
Oh
like-
my god,
Hobbits
Buckland
have-
is
Freak
blighted
us out.
lands?
Don't hobbits have a natural? Wait, we should have been rolling advantage, shouldn't
Do
we?
we have
This is from Dread. So yes, to gain shadow points, I guess that's true. But the thing is, the advantage would only help you, Coriander. So
Oh,
you would
well.
not get the shadow points, but Granny, Titch, and Cal all rolled horrifically. So
Damn.
Um,
But I rolled a nat
Okay.
20. Can't I extend my benefit?
your bounty. It's all right, everybody. No, that is a no.
Damn.
But yes, you do. And part of it, and for people in chat being like, why is this such a surprise? Because this is the first time we've had shadow as a thing that was going to have an impact on the party, but it was a big thing last time in the Adventures of Middle-earth. So this has been kind of an interesting experience. But Coriander, I would say actually then, this actually works really well narratively because all of you feel this general malaise, including you, Granny, who asked me initially about like, what do I see or smell, etc. But what you, Coriander, see, once maybe without telling Granny, but then after that I imagine you might mention it, a couple of times you see, once behind a fence, another time it's sort of obscured by a row of hedges, another time you think it may be slipping behind a small house, a pair of red eyes. Now, you don't see it for long. You're like, what? And then you look there and it's one of those, you look directly and it's not there, right? But a few times you're like, no, this wasn't just, oh, I saw things to the side. Like, you literally saw what you thought looked almost like red eyes 2 or 3 times.
But it's like red eye. So like, just to make sure I've understood this, it's like without a sense of what kind of face they're set into,
right.
like through a bush.
Too fast and too far away. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. But troubling. Not troubling enough to give you shadow, but troubling.
Further question: when
Sure.
you say they're red eyes, do you mean like they are human eyes that look red? Instead of
you doubt that they're human, but you can't see it well enough to know. They're set far enough apart that they're probably not human eyes, but it's so fast it's hard to tell for sure.
All right.
But it, and it happens a couple times as you're like making your way up the causeway. And when you finally get to the sort of winding road that turns east off the causeway, you and the path leading towards Buckleberry Ferry, you can actually see the ferry for yourselves in the distance. It's now illuminated by a little bit of starlight, actually, as you're coming up to it. And again, this is a very easy trip most of the time. Like, you don't normally have anything like this, but you haven't found a lot of other hobbits on the road, or Menabrie, or anyone else for that matter. And it's just been the group of you going down the road with this occasional, as I mentioned, the red eye thing. At last, this uneasy night stroll reaches its destination, and you can see as you turn off the causeway further down the lane the square floating platform that is the somewhat ambitiously named Buckleberry Ferry. With no ferryman tending it at night, you'll have to cross on your own, but water is calm and the stars are bright. And a sigh of released tension is prematurely interrupted when, coming up from a ditch, Coriander, along the western side of the causeway, you see a pair of red eyes coming up again. And the first thing you see are the eyes, and then emerging into the starlight, and this is probably a good, 150, 200 feet from all of you. You can see something else. Let me get the...
I want to quickly say,
picture.
Coriander would not keep seeing this to herself.
I figured, no, that's why I said only the first time. I figured the other ones you might want to mention it, yeah.
No, I think I can imagine that the first time she'd be like, what was that? And then, someone might say, oh, it's just the story you were told, we're all on edge or something. But she would say so. But yeah, every time she would be like, there's a thing I see. So anyway, I feel like she would have said it.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, I imagine you say it a few times enough that everyone, when you say it again, are like, huh, are starting to get a little bit troubled by this. Because when you all look over, after, I would say you see this first, Coriander, so since you said you're not keeping it to yourself, I assume you're like, pointing at this thing, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's like, there it is!
Then I would call everyone's attention to the screen. It may have once been a dog or a wolf, but its fur is burnt and stiff. It is the color of cold ashes. Fiery eyes gleam in the night as it prowls towards you, never flinching. Its predatory confidence seems to grow with each step. Never once does it make a sound, not even its footfalls. Nearly as tall as a hobbit at the shoulder, its silent snarl reveals white fangs stained pink as it breaks into a charge towards you. Now, here's what I need to make very clear here. I'm not going to put us into initiative yet, but I'm going to give this decision to each one of you. You're not going to have time to talk about it with each other, so no consultation, okay? This is very important that you all individually make this decision. You can race down the road to get to the ferry, and you may, benefiting with athletics checks and things like that, get there before this creature does. But if you stand and hesitate, it's going to be upon you. And if you all stop to fight it, this thing looks pretty powerful. So I'm going to let each of you decide individually, no consultation, individually whether you're running or staying, whether you're going to try to get to the ferry or whether you're going to stay. I will only take a consultation question in very limited circumstances because the idea is you don't have a lot of time to consider.
I know, I understand. It's not a consultation question. It's just that, like, what I want to make sure I've understood our purpose in this journey. Like, when we told Farmer Maggot that we were going to, like, look into it.
Yeah.
Were we promising to kill it, or were we promising to find it, or were we promising to warn people about it? Like, what did we actually take on? I'm sorry, my sleepy brain has not.
That's okay. I'm not sure that you decided, Attic. I think you said looking into it was sort of, I guess, to couple all of those things together somehow.
Okay,
but
so
it's up to you.
We were en route to, like, find out more about it in our journey, right? And now
right.
we have found it. The White has found us. It has been stalking us. Okay. Okay, cool. It's very scary, though.
It is. So I'm going to start with Coriander. Coriander, are you running or staying? And running doesn't mean, like, you know, headlong. You're running for a purpose, but...
Yeah. Forgive me, this is not I'm not being tactile, I'm just being very slow in my brain. I just want to verbalize this out loud some more. We haven't said that we are going to kill it. We're supposed to be just looking into it, and it has kind of come upon us, and we are not ready for it, right? I guess the problem I'm having is just, like, are we trying to enlist someone else's help, or did we think that we would be able to take it on?
I don't know the answer to that question because I'm not sure that you knew exactly what you were dealing with yet.
Okay.
So, and I should specify, you can try to fight it, but I'm just going to warn you up front. This is going to be it's going to be tough because this thing, again, you all feel this sort of almost dread, almost dripping from it, is the way you would describe it. It does not, by the way, look big enough to be what would be described as a warg, although it is a good size, but you've never seen anything like this.
Okay. What is the what is between us and it right now? It's coming out of a ditch, and
it's coming out of a ditch along the causeway. It's about 100 and maybe a couple hundred feet from you, and you are a few hundred feet from Buckleberry Ferry. So it's not between you and the ferry. You would be running down towards the ferry, presumably, or standing your ground, or, I don't know, running off into a field or something. I'm not sure what else you would do, but
is it nighttime right now, or
yes.
is it daytime?
It's nighttime.
Oh, okay.
No one would ever write a scene where hobbits are running towards Buckleberry Ferry in the middle of the night.
Red! Yeah, exactly, with the Nazgul pursuing them. Yeah.
So it's nighttime, so we have lanterns lit right now?
Well, you do, although you have starlight as well. Like, it's pretty easy to see, and that's why you're able to see more of this thing that I'm showing you on screen.
Granny would probably have gotten a lantern out.
Okay. So, what do you think, Coriander? What's the call?
I think I'm just gonna flip this coin. Right?
Okay.
Two things. It's a very beautiful coin. I wish to show it to you. There's a moth on one side, and there is a sort of concentric circles.
Ooh, very nice.
The moth says yes underneath it.
Yes to stay, or what? Like, what is yes?
Yes will be to. I think yes will be stand ground, and concentric circles will be a runaway.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm not gonna do
One
that.
goes to the light and the other one goes away from the light.
Or
The light
rather,
being the wolf.
sorry, I'm rephrasing this. It's for me in my head. It's like, does she freeze or does she run? I don't think she actually wants to stand her ground.
No. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Does she freeze or does she run?
Right.
So the yes
Should
is
I
yes,
stay or
she
should
freezes,
I go?
and the other one is no, she runs. Here we go. Oh, it's spinning. Oh no, well, she freezes. Okay.
Oh no!
Sorry. Coriander just kind of freezes and stares at this creature. Yeah, she's just
Okay. I'm gonna let everyone else make the same decision that Coriander just did. I will also say that if you want, because Coriander I doubt is going to be able to resist this, probably wouldn't want to anyway. It's conceivable one of you could also grab her and like run along, but I just want to point out that that has to be a decision you individually make, not in consultation with anybody else. So with that in mind, Cal, what do you think? Staying or going?
Before that happened, I had in my head, Cal is knowing that he might be putting himself in danger. He's putting himself between the beast and Granny, and then looking back and making sure Granny is on the move. He's assuming that she's going to move. If she doesn't, he doesn't.
Okay, and if she does, he does?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Granny.
Yeah, Granny would see that Coriander freezes up, would drop the basket of food that she was carrying, and grab Coriander by the head and drag her behind her as she starts running. Run, child, run!
Titch.
Okay.
Sorry,
well, yeah.
and that means
Don't
Cal's.
finish
And that
and
means
then-
Cal's running. So
Yeah,
right, because Granny is okay.
And I'm going to have a question after.
That's
we
fine.
get Titch.
Titch, what's your call? What are you gonna do?
This foe is beyond any of you. No one would ever say that.
I am the servant of the secret fire.
Right, absolutely. I just
I
don't
don't
have
know
it.
what you're referencing, but it's very funny.
You know, it's the whole Gandalf at the about you shall not pass.
Oh yeah. Okay, right.
But through Titch's
Dark
voice.
fur shall not avail you, beast
Right.
of the Shire.
Right.
Oh god.
Because, Gandalf hasn't said it yet. I mean, where do you think he learned to say it? He learned it from Titch.
Oh.
Anyway.
Who
so-
shall not pass?
Right, exactly. So basically, he's doing something very similar to what Cal is doing, and he is positioning himself between the hobbits and the beast, and he's like, move! And he's kind of maintaining this thing, like keeping them moving and making sure it doesn't come up behind us and bite us in the ass.
Got it.
Ooh.
You had a question for me, Cal, and then I'm going to tell you how that all works.
Yeah, okay. So just trying to make use of my abilities. If I can use my help action in some way to sort of hurry.
Oh, I got
unfree
you. I got you.
Coriander,
Yes, I got you because
very-
guess what, to do this.
Oh, Granny can also do that as a bonus action, by the way.
That
It
makes
is
sense.
very, very funny to me that I literally just took a feat that makes me especially good at running away.
Yep.
But so I hope she can make up this ground. But
I got that covered too.
Okay.
I would like, and I'll start with Coriander. I would like everybody. Actually, well, no, okay. I'm thinking of the movie where the last person is Coriander to jump over the, like Frodo, but no. I need you to make everybody to make an athletics check for me as you run down the road. You're basically trying to outrun this thing. And I should point out, I can't do it with my headphones on, but I want to. The image basically is, so it's prowling towards you, right?
Remember, it's very dark where you are. We can't hear me. Never
You
mind.
can't hear us.
Right, like all of a sudden it's like it speeds up as it sees that you're all booking it. But it does so, I cannot emphasize enough, silently. No sound at all. It's just this silent thing.
A question
Yes.
about the shadow points. Like, do they actually do anything currently, or do we just like?
They will.
need to get-
They don't do anything yet. No, you only have
Okay,
two. But
that's what I mean.
yeah, no, not yet.
No, so it's not like with exhaustion.
For every
Like,
shadow
level.
point, you lose 20 feet per run. No. So
Okay, athletics. You said.
athletics.
Athletics.
So do I add my bonus manually or just assume
Ooh.
just say?
Oh, it's
I would
Um,
like to give
wait,
myself
wait.
a Rhymes of Lore die.
Okay,
but-
hold on. One at a time. So first of all, yeah, Amal, you will be able to do that, but also I have a suspicion Cal is about to. This is why I was saying, Cal, you're going to be able to get a benefit. Oh, well, there's that too. Fellowship points, but also the help action that you can do with your words of guard. Like that's the ability check you could get a bonus on, a benefit on helping someone else. So, which I think is what you're doing narratively anyway. So you could do that too. So yes, basically, yes, you can edit manually, Amal, Coriander.
Okay.
So the question then is, who wants to help whom? like who, who wants to do these things to help people? Like Cal, it sounds like is going to help somebody. Is Cal helping Granny, and Granny is helping Coriander, and like Titch is using his spear to go faster? I don't know.
I'm mostly worried about Granny at this
Pole
point.
vaulting.
Yeah,
I feel like once
say is,
Coriander is woken up.
yeah, as soon as someone like actually touches her and she like she will like book to the full extent of her abilities. So
Okay.
But yeah, if anything, she's also worried about Granny. She knows that Granny can't run as fast as she does. So
Can she?
well,
We're about to find out.
She's got reed mace.
I think that Coriander has some experience of running away from Granny, and probably like on that assumption believes she can go faster than her. So yeah.
Suddenly we hear her just Nouralim, but she's saying it to her own feet, like faster. Right. Okay. So that said, so I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to take action away from you. I think what you all are doing then is Coriander is going. So Cal is going to use Words of Garden Guiding to help Granny, right? Yep. Granny is going to give a lore die or some benefit to Coriander, if I understand this correctly.
Wait. I was gonna give it to myself, but I
Or
have
whatever.
2 that I can give away. But like the question is, can I give both away?
Not the same
in
time.
the short time.
Not the same
That's
time.
the question.
Help yourself, Granny.
Save yourself.
With a bonus action, I can give it to 1 creature, including myself. So
Up to you.
this is a regular turn, so I can only do it once then.
Right.
Yeah, that's a question I'm asking you.
No, yes, it is 1 turn. This is all happening in like about 6 seconds, roughly.
Yeah, I guess Granny would give that to herself because she has oak brittle bones.
Okay, so she's helping herself. So Cal is, and that can stack with Cal's. So Cal will also help. Coriander's got the epic.
Oh wait,
I'm
Cal was
super fast
helping
thing.
Granny, right?
But that's
Okay,
that's fine though. But that's fine though because those 2 things will stack, and Coriander
No, but
just
like
got
then
this.
she can give that to Coriander then.
But
That
it's
was the
okay.
idea, right?
Coriander is not currently at a disadvantage. Like,
Oh.
Right.
So it was just a narrative thing that she froze up in that moment. And she will be running, and she will have her dexterity bonus to add to her athletics.
Yes.
She might still roll horribly. But I'm just saying that on the face of it, I still think that you should.
And you have fellowship points, so people could use those too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Actually, now that I think of it, Cal, are you doing that thing?
Exactly.
Okay, so you're using the fellowship
use
thing
it
as
and
well.
I'll inspire everybody.
Okay, so then everyone's got their thing. You have inspiration, and you are being assisted with the.
People are being helped.
Yep. So that's.
Wait, so what does the assistance do from Cal?
So he uses a fellowship point, and that means that he then grants inspiration to everyone because of his words of guard and guiding.
Ah, okay.
Which is really nice. Seems
okay,
like a good time
Granny
to use this.
gets her lower die and the inspiration.
Yes. So let's do this each one. Let's have Coriander. It doesn't matter. Everybody can go, I guess.
This is athletics, right?
Yes, athletics if you have it. Oh, jeez.
Very glad that you had inspiration.
No kidding.
same.
Oh my gosh, Granny.
Plus your lore die.
So that's a 16.
16, okay. That's much
My
better than a
God.
1.
Yeah.
Like,
Did my help stack on that somehow?
Yes, so
Yeah.
May not
that's
matter.
that
Oh.
yeah, exactly. So the help would so the help action would
An extra die or whatever.
would yeah, actually let me double check. just saw this. Help. So, with the help action...
Hungry all of a sudden. Should I go to the fridge and grab a jar of pickles?
I was about to go to the fridge and grab a thing of olives. So, you know.
Actually, yeah, so your because it's advantage, it doesn't stack, actually, Cal. But the like what you did to inspire everyone, I think, is like more important.
Yeah.
And it's still part of the same ability. Okay, so Granny, we'll talk about what happens with Granny. Coriander, like $6 million hobbit.
Coriander, that's a, let me just be clear, that is a 26.
Yes, I see indeed. We'll come back to what that means for Cal. Titch,
oh no!
what about you?
I tripped as I'm helping Granny along.
Oh my god!
I can see the route across the road.
Okay, so what happens is, Granny, this is actually exactly like the movie. Yeah, like all three of you, like, so Coriander, Granny, and Titch, you all like get to the ferry. It's roped and it's tied, like, you know, by the painter or whatever to the side of the bank, and I assume one of you is like frantically like undoing. But yeah, Cal, as you're on your way, you do in fact trip. You don't fall completely prone, but to one knee, and a second later the silent form of the creature is slammed into you in the back, and you get hit in the back and go rolling over. You're going to take 4 points of bludgeoning damage as you hit the ground. I need you to make a charisma saving throw for me, please.
Help! Coriander's gonna yell, like, Uncle Cal!
Did you say charisma saving throw?
Yes.
Is this for Shadow?
Yes.
Okay, so I get advantage.
Yes. Yes to all.
Yay!
Okay, so you do not get more shadow points.
Finally, out of 2 dice, I got a success.
You will also be glad to remember that all of you have not yet heard from your fifth companion, because from the side, something comes in from the side, and it's a flaming torch that sort of swings at the creature, and you hear him say, "Go on, I'll do the burning." And he waves the torch at the thing's face, and the thing, like, hackles raised, and it kind of backs up, and still silently, but just glaring, like, you know, looking ready to pounce, which, Cal, means you have an opportunity if you wish to stand up and make that check again, this time to get onto the ferry.
Okay. And that's
while that's happening, I know we're not actually in battle, but can Coriander still, like, try to like throw a stone at it?
Sure, you could try to do that if you want to make this is only an attack. Basically, you're trying to ward it off because you're not, because of where you are, but yes, you could try to do a ranged attack on it. Sure.
Because she's trying to, it's like she sees Bilbo going up against it, and she's like, "Go Bilbo!"
Yep.
What is happening here? Whoops, I clicked the wrong thing.
I know I'm begging for dice here, but does Granny still have a second die to use on the next round?
Yes, she does. If you want it.
Yeah, for sure. My athletics is pretty bad.
Yeah, mine too. So yeah, you get a d6 added to that.
Yeah. So you swing, and it like hits. You hear this sort of like almost like something hits something soft. And Coriander, you watch as the beast, which his eyes has been staring right at, kind of like watching Bilbo. For a moment, its eyes go like this.
Wait, sorry, I didn't see you. I was trying to look something up. Let me look at you.
That's okay, sorry. So it's looking off this way, and when you like hit it with a thunk, it goes.
Ah!
Totally silently.
Slightly terrifying, slightly.
They look like gleaming coals in the darkness.
Her belly, absolutely, like her just belly drops out from her basically, but she still like takes a firm breath, and she goes, "Get away from him!" And
I love it.
Just,
I love it. Okay, let's see. Cal, can we see if this jump will be made, or this leap?
I will just throw this unobtrusive on there, just so if it's in my way,
it's not in your way. It's on the other side of you.
Okay, athletics. Here we go. Oh God, it won't matter.
Holy shit!
My die is.
Wow.
And the d6.
What? Okay. All right. Well, oh damn.
I see you trip again or something.
Yeah, well, so what happens is you basically try to sort of scrabble to your feet, and you kind of like you're having a hard time like getting purchase on right. You know, sort of as you're scrabbling along, and
get a patch of like mud or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly. And Bilbo is just like, he's obviously not looking at you. He's like, all right, lad, hurry up now. He doesn't see that you're like trying to get up behind him. As the thing is pacing forwards, now again, towards Bilbo. Go ahead, Titch. You were going to say something.
There is no way Titch would stand by while this is going on.
I had a feeling not. Yeah.
Moving to help, and he just looks at this thing and is like, "Corre, corre, lobito." And no, that's
wow. I was like, didn't know he had it in him, really.
Well, yeah, it's Puss in Boots, but reworked for.
Do it in Titch's voice, though.
Okay. Oh yeah. In Titch's voice, it would be "Corre, corre, lobito," and I'm sure that it would be like "Lobito, little wolf, really?"
Yeah. So what do you, when you by help, we mean, are you basically picking Cal up and like grab, like sort of like pulling him the rest of the way almost onto the ferry?
Basically, yeah, and kind of keeping the spear between us and it.
Okay.
It's like he knows Bilbo will be fine. He's seen the movies, so he's just like, you know.
Okay, so I think you're able to do that. And Bilbo, the sort of the wolf paces forward, and then tilts its head and snaps. And Bilbo sort of, you can't quite see, it's obscured, but he kind of swings his torch down and then turns, and as the ferry is pulling away from the bank, basically makes this jump and lands in a heap on the ferry, and the creature comes all the way up, like walks right up to the edge of the river. And there's a moment where all of you are looking back over at it, and it's probably like, you know, I don't know, 10, 15 feet. And there's a moment where it sort of lowers its body as if it's getting ready to spring. And then it stands up again, and you see this pair of red eyes sort of retreating into the darkness. And then it darts north along the riverbank. And two things I want to note. One, Bilbo groans a little bit, and you can see that Bilbo has actually been hurt. Now, not badly hurt, but he clearly has been bitten a little bit by this thing. And he sort of is, well, that wasn't what I was expecting. So there's that. But also, I'm going to need, as you see those red eyes disappear, I will need everyone else to make one more charisma saving throw for me, please. And I want to point out, by the way, this is not just because that was really scary. This thing is giving off an aura of some kind.
Yeah, while we are on the ferry, Granny would like to first wound assessment and like do first aid. And,
Okay.
And, like say that.
Yeah, make a medicine
I will,
check
like,
for me,
properly
actually, if you
treat
can.
These,
A lore
once
check for
we
me.
have some proper shelter.
That sounds good. Make a medicine check for me, though, anyway, Granny, while you're looking specifically at the wound.
Coriander, just as soon as they're all on the thing, she's like, I don't like this! I don't like this! That is a bad thing!
Okay. So all of you, the benefit of being hobbits and or in Titch's case being, having the decent roll up front. Okay, so no one takes shadow points here.
What about Granny?
I haven't
7?
rolled it.
No, because you remember you're a hobbit, you have advantage against shadow.
Yeah.
I haven't actually done it. One sec.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead and do it. Sorry, that is important, Granny.
I would have loved to just let that be, but okay.
No, you're all good. So you're all so the dread recedes a little bit as you sort of reach the middle of the river, and Bilbo, when one of you says like, "Where's the next crossing? Brandywine Bridge, 20 miles." No, that doesn't happen. But while you're all being rowed up, you're moving the ferry upwards, Granny, you can tell that although it is a bit of a wound and you sort of treat it, fortunately Bilbo has escaped any kind of disease or poison from what you can tell. You don't think that this was poisoned or diseased. But as you're all sort of breathing heavily, Bilbo says, I don't think I've ever seen anything exactly like that. Even the wargs were larger for one thing, but they were frightening, but not like that. It was, well, you all felt it. It was something on it or with it.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like that thing. It's very bad.
Volunteer
Its
thought the
eyes
big
are
bad
like
wolf. Oh,
holes. What was that? Sorry.
no, go on. I thought you were done.
No,
Because of, like, the delay.
its eyes are like coals. Eyes shouldn't be like coals.
And Bilbo nods. He says, I see now why Maggot wanted us to check it out too. The people of Buckland are brave folk, but they're not going to be ready for something like that. At least not without a warning.
Do you still have Sting? Do you have it on you?
Let me think about that. Probably. He, and I'm trying to think if he would have brought it with him though. Because remember, he didn't come from his house. He was with you. He had gone with you up to deal with the fireworks. He wouldn't have brought Sting for that. Then he would have, if he had been summoned from Bag End, he might have brought Sting, but I don't think he would have it. He has it in his home.
Yeah,
I
the
thought he
messenger
carried
found
it
us
on
there.
him.
Wait, didn't he like put these in a museum, or is that like what Frodo does after Lord of the Rings?
Frodo does that. Bilbo
okay.
keeps on his stuff, including a suit of
Okay.
armor that he got.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I maybe misremembering this. I thought there was like a line about him like continuing to wear it, and that was part of his.
Sometimes, but not all the time, though. He specifies that he doesn't always wear it. And also not his armor, mostly because he's tired of everyone asking questions about it all the time. Except Hobbit children, which he loves telling the same stories to, but that's different. Okay, so he says, I don't have it with me, dear. I probably should have brought it with me, but I didn't think we would need it after this thing with the fireworks. And then, well, there were the mushrooms and the eggs, and it seemed a long way from anything truly dangerous. Perhaps I was wrong. And he kind of sighs as he looks back over the riverbank, and he says, Titch, by the way, I imagine you would probably be the most logical person to be guiding the ferry because you're the tallest and could probably push, like pole over, the furthest. And so assuming that's the case, He says, Titch, would you mind crossing over the river to the eastern side there? We should be able to get right there into Buckland. And maybe if we go that way, we can go to the Master of Buckland. He's the one who would need to be warned, first of all. At least he could summon the guards or let us know what else is happening.
It'd be really nice if that... Oh, sorry.
He didn't say anything. He just nods and every now and again glances back towards the western shore.
Yeah. You don't see the eyes again, but you sense something off there, Titch. Not easily able to find, but something. So assuming you push the boat over, the ferry over, you get over. It probably takes you only about maybe 25, 30 minutes to cross over, all told, and then to rope up and tie up on the other side. And as you all sort of get off, Bilbo's able to walk fine. He's not, hurt like that. But right after leaving the ferry, you are approached by a hobbit dressed in a kind of sort of simple leather armor, actually, carrying a lantern. And you can see that his other hand is resting on the pommel of a sheathed short sword. And as you are making your way towards him, he says, all right, that's far enough. Who are you? What are you doing in the ferry? You're not supposed to be using it at night. He looks quite tense.
There was a beast, and we had to escape it. And we have to talk to the Master of Buckland because it's very big and very scary, and it has eyes like coals. Which is not how eyes are supposed to be. I don't know if you knew this.
We were sent by Farmer Maggot. He alerted us to the presence of this strange and dangerous beast, and we saw it just before crossing.
You saw it?
It hurt Uncle Bilbo.
Uncle Bilbo, and then he sees, now remember, Bilbo, of course, is a celebrity even here, and so he's got, Bilbo Baggins, oh, well, Mr. Baggins, sir, and Bilbo says, hello, my lad, do us a favor, would you, and can you bring us to Gorbadak? You should be up by now. And he nods and he says, In fact, the Master of Buckland asked me to do just that. Now, the person to which is being referred is a hobbit known as Gorbadoc Brandybuck. Gorbadoc is the Master of Buckland, and has been there for a long time, and is well known for being someone that is does not have any sense of humor to speak of. He, perhaps because of his proximity to the Old Forest or whatever, is one of those people that wants to sort of take things seriously, as a hobbit will. I don't want to overstate this. This is not Gondor, okay? But this is someone who obviously takes threats seriously. And
He is Bilbo's uncle.
that's right, actually. That's right. And while you're on your way there, it's probably about a 10-minute walk or so. You could talk to the guard. Like, I don't know if Titch wants to talk shop or whatever. You could talk to the guard if you want, or not. But the guard is not being silent. He's just leading the way to the master's home. So don't have to either. Just letting you know.
Titch
Wait,
is-
don't have to what?
Don't have to talk to the guard if you don't want to. I'm just letting you know that's an option.
Okay.
Titch is very much still on guard because that thing is just not normal.
No.
Well,
And
Not at
20
all.
miles, nothing to a critter like that.
Yeah.
So
Coriander will try to talk to him and say, "Did you said you've seen it? Have you seen it?"
And he sort of looks down and hesitates, and he says, "Well, you look like you've been pretty frightened already. I don't think I should be adding to it."
But that's just a scarier thing to say than telling us the actual thing. I think you should just go ahead.
Make a persuasion check for me, please, Coriander.
Let's see. Persuasion. Voilà. That is
Wow.
not 20.
He's just like, "All right, I'll tell you everything ever. It all began when I was..." Okay.
All right, David Copperfield.
See, exactly. No, he says, he kind of looks down a couple times, and he says, "Well, all right, so..." And he kind of looks at Bilbo, and Bilbo says, "Your name's Braddock, isn't it? I think I remember you." And the guard nods. He says, "Braddock it is, yes." He says, "Well, there have been these rumors of this thing, this beast or something, threatening the locals. And, well, there was some kind of wild dog that sort of seemed kind of like this. It was seen prowling around Crick Hollow. It was terrorizing the area maybe a day ago or so. It's one of the reasons why the ferry's supposed to be off limits. In fact, if it were on our side, we probably wouldn't have sent it back over, just kept it tied and not let other people's cross until we get a sense of what's going on over here. It was the Master's orders."
But did anything? Wait. Well, is that the thing?
That's what he says so far, basically in response, that that he had seen it, or rather that not that he's seen it, but that people have allegedly seen it up near Crick Hollow.
And wait, so where Crick? I'm just gonna look at the map. Crick Hollow.
yeah, I'll ask him how
north of-
long.
Crick
has
Hollow
been
is
going
north
on?
of Buckland. You can actually see it on the map, in fact. You see where that line is going up? Crick Hollow is right the border
Yeah.
between... Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Brad. What were you saying? What was Cal saying?
Cal says, how long have the sightings been going on? When was the earliest one?
Probably about, I'd say maybe 2 days ago, a day ago or so. The first we heard of it was a couple of farmers that were telling us that they had seen things, but I mean, they always are worried about things coming out of nowhere, and usually it's not anything bigger of a deal than a fox. But then last night there was more description of it. We heard about the people in Crick Hollow, and the Master was just now trying to decide if he wanted to send to Bree or to some of the surrounding towns, maybe try to get some help from Hobbiton, anything that he could get to bring more people in to deal with it. He's nervous about panicking people, but he also, the way that people describe it, it's the fear that doesn't make all the sense. I've seen a wolf before myself, and it didn't frighten me the way it frightened these people.
Did it hurt anybody?
And he sort of looks grimly at you and he says, "One person is missing. They haven't been seen since last night."
Who?
And he says, "It was one of the farmers. His name was Fellerin, up in the north near Crick Hollow. But Fellerin's known for being the type who sometimes goes off on his own without explaining why. I was hoping it might just be something like that, but, well," and he kind of trails off. At this point, you can actually see Brandy Hall as you are coming close, the ancestral home of the Brandy Bucks. And Braddock, the guard, says, as you come up to the door, he says, "Right, I'll bring you in, and then I've got to go back out to my post. And maybe I'll see to that ferry and make sure that it's tied well. You said you saw this thing just now, before you came over?"
It had been following
Chasing us.
Yeah. In fact, and this is the thing that, like, Coriander looks like she's been, like, frowning, eyebrows knit ever since he said Crick Hollow. And she's like, "But Farmer Maggot said he saw it going north, but then it was with us and it was following us north, but it had gone to Crick Hollow first. Is it going in circles?"
And he sort of sighs. He says, "Or it's fast, or there's more than one." as he arrives at the door and is like, like a knock, knock, knock. And after a moment, the door opens, and you are greeted by this picture I'm about to show you.
So is there
Even
A-
bigger.
Huh?
wolf.
Yeah, I was gonna say a growling, angry. No.
Growling, angry hobbit.
I love the idea that, oh no, suddenly we're in a Red Riding Hood story and the wolf has come ahead of us and become the master of Buckland.
The problem with that is that Grandma dropped the basket of goodies back on the other side of the
That's
thing.
right.
True.
That's right.
Oh my goodness, look at this fellow!
That
So
is
cute.
It's very
Gorbidoc
chubby.
Brandy Book. Now, Gorbidoc,
Broadbelt is his nickname.
Gorbidoc, which I am trying desperately not to refer to as either Gorbaduc or Gorbachev.
Gorbachev is what I keep
you know.
Gorbachev, yeah.
Gorbidoc Brandybuck is a very impressive kind of hobbit, and as you can see him, he has a pipe which right now is clenched in his teeth, and he is leaning on, Granny, what you think at first is sort of like a cane. You're like, oh yeah, and then you can see that it is actually a heavy wooden cudgel. In fact, you're vaguely reminded a bit of the Bull Roarer Club,
Right.
you know, from before. Like, this thing is like meant for purpose, obviously. And when he sees you, he says, and he's a big, very stout hobbit, and he says, well, it's good to see you, my lads and lasses. Come in. There's no need to stay out there in the darkness. What you doing there, Braddock? And Braddock says, well, master, there's been, these have just come across. And at that point, Gorbaduc says, Bilbo, my boy, well, what are you doing so? And he looks over and he kind of not waddles is not the right term. He actually, for a big, stout hobbit, moves quite quickly, but he sort of like, sort of bustles over might be the way to describe it. And he's like, oh, my boy. And he kind of looks at me. Well, you've been hurt. And Bilbo says, oh, well, I'll be fine, but we have things to talk about, Gorbaduc. And he says, well, yes, well, come in, all of you. And Braddock, where did they come from? And Braddock says, the ferry. They say they've seen the thing, master. And
Great movie.
And he gets serious, and he's just like, you mean the one where it's in the Arctic? No, he says, you mean the beast, then? And Braddock gives a tight nod, and the master says, all right. And he goes to the door, and you hear him like, and then Braddock, and then Braddock goes off, and Gorbaduc closes the door, and he says, all right, well, let's get you get you in and at least onto some comfortable things. And he moves you into the room where there's a very large version of Farmer Maggot's living room. There is a nice roaring fire actually in here, several very even more comfy chairs, Granny, you'll be happy to know, that are
Nice.
here. and also a table with some what look like some like clean vegetables. You can see maybe some carrots and stuff like that there. And he makes sure that you're all sort of positioned, and he calls for a couple of servants, and he says, all right, well, make sure the first one that you deal, these all need to be cleaned up. You can see they're dirty, and, well, no, come on now. The best way to describe Gorbaduck is that he runs a house of controlled chaos. There are perpetually several servants, which seem to be maybe even possibly children, hobbit children, like around him, bustling at all times, and yet they never somehow trip over him and he doesn't trip over them somehow. And before you all sort of really know what's going on, you're all sitting there with warm cloths on your head and over your eyes, basically. And Bilbo is lying, on the sort of couch with his feet up. And he says, all right, well, before we get into any kind of business, what I need to ask what you need. Is there anything, are you hungry or tired, or any of you hurt, like Bilbo here, any of you?
What? How bad was I hurt? Like, was my damage taken from being bashed or bit?
From falling. He didn't have a chance to bash you because Bilbo jumped in. So you're down 4 points. And
Granny would look into the guys now.
Yeah,
making sure that they're.
I'm constantly
ouchies are treated.
Moving my shoulder, because that's where I fell on it and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you do have a sort of uncomfortable memory, Cal, of the breath of this thing sort of on your neck, as you were lying down, face down for a moment before Bilbo jumped in. Right. And Bilbo actually says, well, I'm not sure if Granny could possibly handle this on her own, but if not, I know that Cal had a bit of a tumble there at the bank, and so, and Gorbaduck says, a tumble, and he comes walking over rather swiftly, and he says, well, are you, and the way that I would describe him is he sort of comes up to you, puts his hand on your shoulder, but it's not a threatening, and it doesn't seem to, it's not bothersome, but he's just sort of before you know what's happened, he's done a 360 around you basically, and then says, right. Well, are you sure you could use some help, or and he sees Granny, he sees you nearby, and he's like, oh, perhaps your own, you seem to know your way around Herbcraft from the way it sounds, maybe you could help, but I don't want to get in the way, but I'll stand ready, anything I can do.
Well, I could use some hot water, some clean cloths, that kind of.
And he claps 3 times, and immediately the Hobbit children vanish, and maybe within a minute they're back with steaming thing of water that they put down.
I was really, really hoping he was going to do the Mr. Miyagi.
Oh, I should have that you're the best around. Hi, Prince Justin.
Ow!
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, better.
It won't matter to you, but it'll matter to them. They'll never look at me the same way. Oh man.
Basically, Granny assesses the situation with Cal, and probably has some bruises and stuff, so she would apply a poultice.
Okay. And do you want to use one of your heal to heal him for his 4?
For poultice, that would be charge of the herbalism kit, right? Which has 10 charges, I think.
I think that's probably right.
Yes.
I don't know for sure, but that sounds right.
Yeah, I think the problem was that it didn't specifically say anywhere in the rulebook, but I think it's by default 10. So yeah, and then for Bilbo, clean the wound, see if it needs stitches or not, apply a salve or something, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just making sure, but yeah, that is then is it then a medicine check, or what do I roll on? Or is
I think it would.
Herbalism kit proficiency check.
I think it would be probably the latter. I think it would be the herbalism proficiency. I'm just trying to make sure that it has an actual. Take a look at the scholar.
As Granny's working, Cal is mumbling it. I can't believe I didn't see that patch of mud. Gotta keep my eyes open.
So here's how this I think this would work. Well, I mean, there's the Hands of a Healer thing, which means, so yeah, choose number of friendly creatures, including yourself, who spent one or more hit dice at the end of a short rest.
yeah.
So basically what this means is, so this counts as a short rest, Cal, so you could use one of your hit dice, but if with Hands of a Healer, with Granny's Hands of a Healer, it means that you would regain an extra 1d6. So basically, you'll be able to roll your hit die, and if you don't get all the way back up to max, Granny should be able to do the rest of the way. And you can do that for free, Granny, because of Hands of a Healer.
Right, that is then
do a D6
1d6 plus 3, actually.
Right.
And
So
same for Bilbo.
right. Yes, you said. Well, except that it's your right, but for Hands of a Healer though, Cal is using his hit dice, which may be D6 anyway. I don't know.
Is it messenger or is
It'll be
class-based?
it'll be
Yeah, it's
would be
class-based.
messenger. So it's D8 for
Hit
you.
dice
messenger.
D8.
Yeah,
Yep.
plus a
Yeah.
1d6 plus 3.
So what am I rolling?
So you're
D8 or
rolling
D6?
D8, and if you need to do more, then you will add on
Okay, I don't.
5. So it turns out it didn't matter anyway, but it wouldn't cost
Okay.
Granny to do it regardless.
Right.
But you're able to do the same thing with Bilbo, which seems to help Granny. So you seem to be fine, and also, food is brought, if there's stuff like that. And after, a little bit, the Gorbachev kind of like leans back and in his chair. He has brought more of them, and he says, "Well, it's a dangerous business now, a dangerous business." And he says, "I haven't seen trouble like this in some time. I don't know what it can possibly mean, but it's not good to see it." And he kind of shakes his head. He says, "I don't mean to pry, but..." And he kind of pauses and says, "You said you took this from the beast. What would you say it looked like? What was it that it did when it attacked you?"
Wait, what did we take from the beast?
No, not taking from the beast. Just he wants to know about what it was like facing it.
Oh.
He's like gathering
Yeah.
info from what you can tell.
Cal will do his best to describe the beastie physically, but then also it was a terror to be in front of the thing. It made your insides go to jelly.
Coriander will
It felt
describe.
foul.
Coriander will describe the way that she felt when they were being stalked by it in the woods, and how she would glimpse its red eyes. And
Do we get the Coles description?
yes,
They were like Coles.
especially if there's a fireside and she's like
Yeah.
staring into the coals and going, eyes like that.
And he nods, sighs. Also, Granny, he brings you, if you wish it, he brings you leaf for your pipe as well.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, nice.
So, and he listens, sort of puffing himself on his pipe, and shaking his head, and he says, "Well, the beast itself has been prowling around Buckland for the last 2 nights, from what I can tell. What I'm worried about is that it's somehow crossed the Brandywine. It doesn't make sense to me. The thing was only spotted, like I say, a night and a half ago, 2 nights maybe. I can't believe the beast swam the length of the Brandywine and then back again to trouble Farmer Maggot. When we heard about it, we heard about it from farmers that said there'd been livestock taken from Newberry. And last night up in Crick Hollow, Rollo Boffin said that he saw the thing on the edge of his property. It's only going to be a matter of time before the thing hurts someone. And in fact, one of ours, Fellerin, has been missing. I don't know whether he goes off on his own sometimes, but with all this going on, I can't be sure. None of this is good."
By the way, when we did encounter the beast, did it actually smell of sulfur?
There was, yes, a faint sulfurous smell about it, yes.
Coriander will say, isn't it a little strange that so many people have seen it, but no one has been seriously hurt by it?
And he says, "Well, that we know of anyway. But that's true. So far, it's just hunted down livestock, and that can be harm enough for some of the farmers here. But it's true that it hasn't hurt anyone seriously yet. But as I say, I think that's only a matter of time. Eventually, it's going to get more bold. And when you said, Cal, you said that it was, I guess he would call you Caloran, actually. Caloran, you said that your stomach went to jelly. Are you all saying that it felt more frightening than you would have thought? You know, not just from a wolf, but something more than that.
Something more for certain. It felt, I don't know how to describe it exactly, evil. Not like a wolf or a wild animal would be.
I like wolves. I like lots of animals. I've never felt scared from a wolf before. You can just climb a tree. But with this one,
Bilbo, did this beast look like one of the orc wolves that you have met in your travels?
And he sort of thinks for a minute and he says, "It's not as big. I wouldn't say that it's like one of the wargs that I've discovered, at least not previous. It certainly had the same fear of fire those creatures did. But what I can't understand is, well, the silence of the thing. All of the creatures I ever met, the wargs they couldn't be stopped growling, howling, talking to each other in their strange language. That was all what they saw, and then this thing was silent, like a ghost."
When Granny treated Bilbo's wound, did she notice anything else about the wound besides it not being infected?
Diseased? No. It seemed like a normal bite, and obviously just a kind of a superficial flesh wound, as they say, because...
But a flesh wound.
But a flesh wound, because if it had gotten a real snap on Bilbo, it could have been really bad. And Gorbadoc says, after a little while of sort of, everybody puffing on their respective pipes and or whatever and sort of thinking thoughtfully, Gorbadoc says, "Well, I'm glad that Maggot sent you to warn us. We would have sent people over there to warn him if we knew that this thing could go back and forth this way. I've got no right to tell others how to live, but even as Master of Buckland. But if you are going to be involved in this somehow, I'd encourage you all to be careful. I think if I were you, I might even think about going back to Bag End and perhaps staying away from this stuff. It's dangerous, and I wouldn't want to see anyone else get hurt."
but we don't know if it will just follow us there. If it can move that quickly, maybe it's already been to Bag End.
And Bilbo kind of nods and he says, "And besides that, hobbits need to help hobbits. We can't just let you handle this on your own. This thing is a strange creature. And I know better than some in the Shire that strange creatures are not to be left undisturbed. Sometimes they'll bring their evil to you." And he kind of his eyes widen a bit. And Gorbadoc nods slowly and then stands up and says, "All right then, I won't stop you. If you want to continue to investigate, I'll help however I can. You can't do anything tonight, though. I think it's best that you take some rest. And in the morning, you can set off clear. In the meantime, I'll talk to Braddock and a few of the others. I'll let them know to make sure that they've got extra people posted at the entrance into Buckland North and South. I don't know what my guards can do against something like that, but at least it won't catch us unprepared if it does come down."
It's only suddenly occurred to me to ask, is Balin still around?
No, Balin did not come with you. I forgot to
Okay.
mention that Balin continued back on to Bag End because he had some chores and errands to take care of there. So it is the four of you plus Bilbo. Yeah.
Granny would ask, I know this is probably quite a long shot, but I don't suppose you have any way to contact the rangers. they seem like probably the right people to deal with this sort of thing.
And he says, "Well, I know some people don't hold with the Rangers. They're strange folk, they are. But I don't have anything against them. I've spoken to one or two of them before, and they're friendly enough. But I don't have any way of getting in contact with them. In fact, well, some people say that they're always watching over us one way or the other. They didn't stop this thing from coming to us, that's for certain."
I guess Granny would try and like really think back if she has ever heard about anything like this creature that we just met. And for that, if you will allow it, I would like to use one of my pipe inspirations.
Okay. Perfect time to be inspired by a pipe.
So like basically I give myself like I smoke the pipe for an hour in peace, and then I get inspiration.
Just a moment. Like it's just like for like the next hour.
That is truly incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then like basically would want an old lore check, I guess would be the thing here.
Yeah, I think so.
So I've never gotten to use my pipe skill. So can I sit with her quietly and just
Yeah.
practice my rings and
Absolutely.
see how well I do?
Absolutely.
Just passing it around.
Oh, I've gotten much
Oh
better.
no, you don't
Wow.
need to roll on the pipe thing, do you?
No,
I
I'm
think
just-
it just automatically gives you
No, it's not. It's not for. It's just for me to like practice my
oh.
ring blowing and that sort of thing while you do your thing.
Okay, so do I get an old lore roll or what's happening?
Yeah, I think it would be lore, but also, and specifically, you're trying to think of like creatures like this, right?
Well, stories like about this
Okay.
kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
Not necessarily like something that she would have like maybe read about in a nature book or something, but more like old tales or whatever, something
Okay.
like mythical creatures or whatever.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that's a 14 then. Didn't need the inspiration.
Google, are there werewolves in the Shire?
Aha. Right.
Did they all drown with Beleriand?
So, Granny, you do remember having heard, I mentioned already the story that some of the rest of you know of the Brandywine freezing over and of like the wolves crossing that way. But you do remember having heard stories of wolves that have occasionally, this is a long time ago, come into the Shire. The place that is most sort of prominent for strange creatures near here is actually right to the east of Buckland, and it is the Old Forest, a place which is called that advisedly. It has been around for quite a while, and there are definitely some strange creatures and so on that lurk within it. Now, lots of hobbits go into and out of the Old Forest just fine. Sometimes they go and gather food and things like that. But there is sometimes a kind of an uneasy aura about the forest, a sort of a feeling of discomfort, I suppose, that sometimes can happen for people who live near it. And certainly people here who live around Brandy Hall, know a little bit about that feeling and that sensation. And so you do know that there were supposedly strange creatures that came through and from the Old Forest many, many years ago, decades before this. And it's not clear exactly what exactly the creatures wanted at the time, because eventually, in one case, with the wolves crossing over the river, they were eventually killed and driven back. But these wolves that I'm talking about, these creatures that came from the forest, after perhaps a week or so, just kind of melted back into the forest and disappeared. And no one really knew what happened to them. You don't know if that's what this is about, but certainly the Old Forest is very much a source of mystery and sometimes fear.
And that's a forest just east of here, right?
Right, that's right.
Hmm.
So, unless anyone needs anything from Gorbadoc at the moment, he is going to head to bed and he's going to put you all up
And he would
in
ask actually.
the rooms that you need. But yes, you can ask if you have other things too.
Is there like after she like remembered this old tale, she would like turn to him and ask, has there perhaps anything happened in the forest? Anything unusual? I don't know, a fire maybe, or unruly traveler, something like that you might have heard of?
Not that I can remember, no, but it wouldn't surprise me. The old forest is strange. I don't much hold with going in there myself, except when I have to. But it's been a long time since anything dangerous came from it out to threaten us. It's more me trying to keep young hobbits from risking themselves by going into it.
Is there anybody in town who, like a wild keeper or something like that, or somebody who has to regularly venture into the old forest?
No, the
Who
person
we
to
could
talk
maybe
to about
contact?
the person to talk to about that would probably be Rollo. That's the one in Crick Hollow I told you about.
Yes.
He ventures farther afield than a lot of people around here.
I suppose then tomorrow we should seek him out.
And he nods. Yeah, go ahead. Cal.
Cal's going to say, do you have, are there any criers handy for the morning? I think it might be a good idea to just send word to everybody to take care, and to send word once it's safe if they do see the creature back to you, so we can track it or determine if there's more than one, perhaps.
And he nods.
And to make sure that everybody stays indoors after dark.
He nods and he says, well, you have the right of it. I'll do the best I can, and I'll absolutely let people know by sending out the messengers, as you say. As far as being after dark, we've already started to talk to people about that last night, but we'll make sure that it's more than a suggestion this time around.
Very good.
So
I think Cal gets ready to head to bed then and get some rest.
Okay. So Gorbaduck heads to bed as well. And all of you are brought to very, again, comfortable rooms with nice beds and the whole bit. It feels perhaps a little bit less homey than Farmer Maggot's place, because these are sort of a bigger hall, the ancestral hall, but still very nice. But as each of you sort of slowly drop off to sleep, I imagine there's still this sense of foreboding that kind of fills you, even though the room is locked, you're on the second floor, the window is locked, but it's hard not to sort of shake that feeling of dread. About an hour before dawn, Titch, there's a knock that comes at your door, and actually at several of the others. That was good. And there's a, not a like, open this door, but like, definitely a please wake up knock type of thing.
Urgent.
Yes.
Grabbed his spear where it was leaning against the side next to his bed because he's still just,
Yeah. Yeah, you just fit, even though you're not that much bigger than hobbits, but still.
You keep saying they're really comfy beds. I'm like, yeah, sure, and so he goes over and opens the door. Like, yes.
So one of when he opens the door, you see someone who's been introduced to you as Saradis Brandybuck, who's the brother of Rory and Primula Brandybuck. And Saradis says, "I'm sorry
to need, young lady."
No, he says.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I got you. And he like blinks. He says, I'm sorry to bother you, but the masters told me to come down and to get all of you and come downstairs. Rollo Boffin's down there. There's been another attack. And he then like leaves you, Titch, and he goes to like Granny's room, Cal's room, Coranda's room, and basically repeats the same message to all of you.
So we got message from Rollo that somebody was attacked, or Rollo?
No. Rollo's here in the house. He's on the first floor. Like the master
okay.
just sent the guy up and be like, "Hey, you gotta come down here." And so, assuming you all do come down,
takes Titch a minute because he gets fully armored up.
Okay, like geared up. Got it. Saradis leads you to a parlor in Brandy Hall where, and this is about an hour before dawn, by the way. So just so you know, it's still dark. And Rollo, presumably, is sitting there with shaking hands, and he seems to be nursing a cup of tea. And Gorbaduck is sitting opposite him with his arms folded, and he says, when he sees you, he nods, and he says, "I'm sorry to have to wake you, but I thought you'd think this was important." And he looks over at Rollo. He says, "All right, tell them what you told me." And Rollo says, and he has kind of this like sandy curly brown hair, hobbit with freckles, and seems like a very friendly, open face, but not now. At the moment, he just looks like pale, like he's seen a ghost. And he says, "Whoa, there was right near where my property. There was a beast, the same thing I saw the other night. It was there, and it was snarling at my window." And Gorbaduc kind of like blinks, and he says, "Snarling, you say?" It was making a sound. At least I thought it was, and I saw it in the lantern light of my room. It was fur, burnt black, and red fiery eyes, like coals, and it was stalking back and forth outside my window and near the edge of my property. And I ran. I grabbed my cloak and I ran out the front door, and I didn't stop until I got here. 20 full minutes at a full run, all the way here to Brandy Hall. He said, the master here said that you've come to help. Please help me. Please help. And Gorbaduc sort of like waits until you're all looking at him, and he kind of like nods like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about, type of thing. He says, Rollo's place is at Crick Hollow to the north. It's not all that far, but it's probably about an hour's walk. In fact, I don't totally know how you got here as fast as you say, unless you were running like... And then he trails off. He says, well, never mind. I guess you were running that fast. And Rollo kind of like shivers and doesn't say anything. And you notice, by the way, all of you, because you've all been affected by this, Coriander, you haven't actually had the mechanical effect, but you certainly felt the same way, that this is more, again, than just, oh, there was a scary wolf. Like, he really looks shaken to his very, like, core by whatever it is that he encountered up there.
Oof. Coriander will, like, just sort of reach out and squeeze his hand and like a comforting gesture, but not say anything because she's very troubled by this.
And he kind of like, he sort of squeezes your hand back, but he doesn't say anything. Gorbaduc says, Dawn will be here in about, less than an hour. And when it does, and when the sun starts to rise, it'll probably be much safer then. You might want to wait until then before you set out to look. I've already sent around word. As soon as the cock crows, they'll have criers out on the streets, and we'll be letting people know to stay where they are inside the village, not to go out. But you, of course, you'll have the right to go where you wish, and to head north to see this for yourself if you choose. And Rollo shivers some more.
Go
ahead, Cal.
I was going to ask Rollo what his place is like. Is he a farmer, or what? Does he have a small place, large place?
He says, well, it's not very big, sir. It's maybe half an acre or so. There's the farmhouse in the middle and the barn, and the stables, although I locked those last night before I went into the house. And then he stops and he says, oh no. Well, that means they could have gotten to... Well, there's old Bess up there, the cow, and he kind of like half makes to like stand up, like he's gonna go run back, and then he like his legs give out beneath him because he's still like, and he's like sits back down. He says, oh, the animals, sir, I don't know what might have happened to them. I live alone, but if anything happens to them, like, oh. And he seems like very agitated.
But at the time when you saw the creature, it wasn't making for them, it was looking at you?
That's right, sir. Stalking back and forth, looking right at me, as you might say.
but we know from Farmer Maggot that it was terrorizing and it was eating the chickens, like slaughtering them, right? To devouring.
That's
completely.
right. That's right.
Hmm.
And also, you heard from Gorbaduck that it also killed a little bit some of the livestock as well. Although, if you ever mentioned that out loud, you think Rollo would be even more freaked out because the prospect of his livestock being hurt seems to really bother him.
I don't say that aloud. If I know that, I just
figured,
keep it myself for now. And I just say to the others, well, maybe the farm is at least a good place to go and see if we can find it or find its trail.
And Bilbo nods and says, "We should get ready then and see what we find."
Titch just ding, just like bangs his spear on the ground. He's ready. He's
Yeah.
ready.
Is he starting a war chant like shunk, shunk, shunk?
Exactly. Brandy bucks, brandy bucks.
He's the only one doing it.
Yeah, everyone's like, please. So you all can have like kind of a cold, if you wish, breakfast before setting out. Mostly just because of time, because you presume you don't want to wait too long for this.
That would cut it short.
And when you set off, it's about an hour's journey, as you said, maybe 45 minutes if you move at a good pace. And it is light outside, or, dawn has arrived. It's not bright light yet, but it's light as you're heading north. And when... Oh, go ahead, Cal.
No.
Oh, no. Okay. When you arrive at Crick Hollow after this walk, you find, as you get there, you can see the farmhouse itself, which is sort of set down a little bit in the middle of the land there. But the property itself, as you are sort of walking towards the house, seems a lot different than that. There are trampled flower beds. You can see some of the trees have had the bark ripped from them, slashed as if by animal claws. You find a few carcasses of dead rabbits. And when you actually have gotten to Rollo Boffin's house, you're looking at the back of it actually as you go. Great gouges in the rear door of Rollo's house. They are gouges much larger than a human or a halfling or hobbit could make. And as you sort of stand looking at that, I would like you to make for me, please, all of you, an investigation check.
Are we still ending at 7 tonight? Just
Yes.
To double check?
Yep. It's 7. Yeah, we're literally just about to stop.
We did get a long rest, right?
You got a long rest last night, yes.
I'm wondering if I should use a fellowship point and inspire everybody for this.
You could if you want.
I think I will.
Okay.
Don't think it's needed.
Well, I should, yeah.
Important
We'll do it, yeah. And it makes sense. Do that next time. Okay. So, let's see. Oh, it looks like everybody got above a 10, except for Cal.
I'm trying really hard.
But Cal's like, all right, we can do it. And everyone's like, yes, you can. And Cal's like, what are we doing?
Cal didn't get his coffee this morning.
That's right. All of you can see what looks like a small, all of you except Cal, can see what looks like a small trail leading towards the eastern end of the property that appears to dip and run to the very high hay, basically these large high hay bales around the outside of the property itself. And as you look, you can see that there are fairly sizable tracks in the dirt and kind of grass and so on leading up to the rear door of Rollo's home, which still looks locked, by the way. It doesn't look like anything got in there. But the tracks lead in the direction of that end of the property. So like they were coming this way towards the house. And as you look...
Sorry, they were coming from the east
the east towards the house. Yeah.
Okay.
And as you're looking at it, maybe it's Granny or maybe it's Coriander. Who had the highest one, actually? Was
Titch.
I guess Titch. Titch, you can see sort of lying behind one of the bushes. You can see something that is sort of lying out there, and it is what looks like a motionless leg of a creature. It might be the leg of a cow or a horse, but it's definitely not moving. And that's where we're going to bring our session to a close.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is perfect for Halloween, y'all, right? This is the
True.
Halloween savage beast.
I was thinking you were describing a trail that went like towards the forest, and I'm looking at the map and it says Bonfire Glade. I'm like, did that creature come from Bonfire Glade?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens next time, which will be our final session, sad face. But we will see that in November when we'll have a chance to see what happens with this creature and talk a little bit about the Middle Earth experience. I will start, Tren, with you. I know that you were very, very tired, as we discussed, but nonetheless, we got
Playing the
some.
character.
Yeah, no, absolutely, of course. But we got some great stuff out of Titch today, especially because it's so funny because we've obviously played together quite a bit over the years, so that I knew the minute I was talking about how like Cal trips again, I'm like, Titch is clearly not going to wait, and you're like, Titch is never going to wait on the thing. I was like, yeah, no, I knew you weren't. And it was a good thing that Titch was able to pull him clear. It was a good thing that Titch was paying attention to, like, looking for tracks and stuff like this. Although I will say this does feel like it's up Titch's alley in terms of like clear threat that needs to be dealt with and not criminal activity that one needs to engage in, which is sort of what we got at the beginning. So that was good stuff to see. How did you feel about today's session, Titch and Tren, is what I mean there. And where will the fine people find you next?
Well, people will see me here. Yeah, it was good. I was, as all the talk with downstairs at the last place before we left, it came over here, and I'm sitting there, I've got my head down, and I'm just sitting there monitoring, waiting for you to say, somebody turns to Titch, and it's like, what? And I'm just like, just it's at some point somebody will say something to Titch, and it'll be, nope, didn't happen, but eventually we got
It did eventually. Well, someone did at some point.
Kind of. But yeah, it was. I thought it was great. It was. It's fun to see things, rolling back towards a Titch. Something that, as you just mentioned, that he would actually be interested in, not doing illegal activities, kind of thing.
This is wheelhouse, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. But I didn't want another location for us to go to. So, but does that river say Withywindle?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe that is the Withywindle.
It's one of my favorite names from Lord of the Rings.
Every time I look at the map, my eyes are drawn to that. I'm like, is that what that says? I should ask. No, they're busy. I'll ask later.
Yep, that's the Withywindle. Through the southern end of the old forest.
Yep. Yeah, I'm now I'm just kind of torn between, in a metagaming kind of way, between killing this thing and soothing this thing. But where will people see me next? Here on Saturday for more Eberron.
For Oracle of War, as that campaign kicks into higher gear, even higher gear. Even higher. But thanks, Tren. Good stuff tonight. And again, you will see more from Tren also in December with Beowulf, as we'll talk about when we get there.
Also, while we were working on it, I've told you guys that I've been working on this JPL Caltech collection. No,
anthology.
Anthology. That absolutely starts with a C. Anyway, and I'm done. Yay, I'm done. And earlier, last week, somebody was like, "Oh, I need you to record all the author bios,
right,
as well." I'm like, "Oh God, okay, just get me the pronunciations of the names, because some of them are this freaking long." And I'm like, and I'm like, "It's okay. I'll just go to YouTube. These people are published authors. There is something where their name has been said, probably by them, so I know how they pronounce." No, nothing. And I'm like, ask them how their names are pronounced. And they're like, it should be self-evident. I'm like, well, it's fucking not. Tell me how your name is supposed to be pronounced.
Should be self-evident.
And so I got all of it recorded last night. I haven't edited yet. And then I get an email from the guy who hired me saying, "Oh, here's the pronunciation on this thing." Like, God. So now I have to go do that.
They're like every letter is silent. You're like, God damn it! How is that even possible?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, good luck with that. And I look forward to hearing all of the pronunciations on Saturday. When they're all done. The life of a narrator. But hang in there, Trent. Good stuff. Always a pleasure to have you here. Also a pleasure to have Tari with us. Granny, we got some a fair bit of lore checks and medicine checks and things that were critically important, grabbing Coriander and running her along the path, for another example. And that old lore thing, by the way, is likely to come back as a check you'll be doing again, just so you know, as we go through here. So there's a lot of lore and history that is going to be used, because you made an old lore check today, and there may be another one on its way later. So it was fun to watch Granny navigating. In fact, all of you used a little bit of some of the new skills or abilities at one point or another, which was fun to see. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks see you next?
Well, this was a lot of fun, as always, of course. Though this time in the scary way, like woo.
Yep.
So this is like very different in tone from what we've been doing so far. Looking forward and dreading the next session, because it will be the last. So I'm sad that things are gonna come to an end. But oh well, as they say, all good things must come to an end. I don't actually know when the next session is, or when the next time is that I'm gonna be here.
November probably for both,
Tuesday.
I think.
I don't know. You'll let me know in time,
I will.
I'm sure.
Yes.
So like when I'm not doing this, I illustrate. I'm so fucking tired. I illustrate Choose Your Own Adventure books, which you guys play on stream, and I draw what happens.
Yes, indeed.
And we just started a new one last session.
Chasms of Malice. That's right.
Yes, Chasms of Malice, which is very encounter heavy.
Yeah.
Like monster.
It's also very Conan feeling, like, so.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Go check that out, which also happens on Tuesday. So at 6 p.m. my time and at noon
That's right.
Eastern Standard Time.
That's
I think it's called. Yes, same.
With daylight saving time coming up soon.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah. That happens, and then like after this game, I'm gonna be playing Beowulf here, which I'm also very much looking forward to, because I'm really into old sagas and stuff. It's kind of my jam. So looking forward to that. So that's me. Come check me out on Twitch, not on Twitter, on Blue Sky, and on Tumblr and on Instagram at TariToons, where I post my drawings and other nonsense. So that's me.
Good stuff, Tari. Thank you, and definitely sleep well as well. Sleep well, and I'll see you soon. Speaking of Blue Sky, Brad, we need to get you on Blue Sky, so that I can, so that I can add you onto the list and have you as a contact for the inevitable collapse of Twitter, before that happens. So just letting you know, I've been bothering other people about that in the same way. So hang on a second, my camera's got messed up. Good stuff again from Cal today as well. I immediately saw the advice stuff being deployed. Like immediately you were just like, let's perhaps you should do this or think about this, you did were able to do the words of guiding several times with that inspiration thing using those fellowship points. So that was great. And it felt like, and then of course we had that moment where people were, I think, a little freaked out about, is everything going to, is Cal okay? Because not one but two athletics checks missed as you were kind of heading out this way, pursued by a wolf. But you did manage to survive and get to the other side of the Brandywine, and now we'll see what happens going forward here as the stakes have increased. How'd you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Yeah, it's kind of funny going from this highly dexterous, acrobatic, hippie kind of character in bolo to a messenger guy who was like just a different skill set, right?
Yep.
And so he doesn't have the like tumbling, none of that stuff. He's not that kind of dude. But it is fun to focus on his other stuff too, at the same time, like seeing, growing into not just messenger, but like, a bit of a leader, kind of thing, more outspoken. And I keep reflecting on, initially the changes from the old adventure, but now like the changes from the initial adventures that we had in Shire Adventures to like closing on something that's fairly dark and ominous, and dangerous and kind of, with shadow and this dark presence of this ward or whatever it is, we'll find out. It's cool from a player perspective, scary from the character perspective and stuff. But it's interesting to meet that, having started with a river crossing and a owl meeting, and stuff like that, and just seeing this change in adventuring style.
The next
So
adventure, you
fun.
meet the Witch King of Angmar.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah!
We defeat Camus. So can everyone still see the map? Do you have the map up still?
Oh, I can move that over. Just quickly here. Yes.
So the moment that you said sad face, and I was looking at the map and my eyes went, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I make it go?
If you hold down, you like shift and. Oh, there we go.
You see
Yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Oh my god. Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And I've been looking at the map like the whole adventure at different stuff and hadn't seen it. And then like literally the microsecond that you said that, my eyes went bing right there.
Oh, that has freaked me out. Now I'm seeing the whole that like here is an arm and a long spindly body. Oh,
And then here's a person going, woo! Like, there's like over there.
Oh, I don't like
So
this.
the town is sad that we're that we're leaving. So I will have a sad as well when we finish up. But in the meantime, we will forge on and have fun and enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, definitely.
So find me next. Yeah, keep
Yes.
an eye on me and quillings.com and have my socials and stuff. And I'm posting things as I get closer to the release of the new book. I'm in the very, very early stages of maybe starting a YouTube writing channel, but I don't know if I'll dive in, but you can follow me and see if that actually comes to fruition.
That's awesome. And would be fun to check out. Thank you, Brad. Good stuff. And I will see you for the final session of this next month. Last but certainly not least, Mal. Again, wonderful stuff from Coriander. Also, I love the fact that Coriander kept focusing on the description of like coals and eyes shouldn't be like that, because it is like that. People get fixated on like this thing, and this thing shouldn't be like this thing, especially because this is coming on in close succession within a few days of when everything happened, within a week anyway, of what happened with the mines and all that. And so I'm sure that's also on Coriander's mind too. It's not a whole, the idea is not, everyone needs to grow up in 3 seconds and all that, but definitely this is, a step above this sort of like, oh, we're just repossessing some spoons. Like, this is definitely something where the stakes are higher. And the implications of what happens are higher, even though your skills are higher as well. So it was fun to kind of watch that being played out. I'm going to be interested to see how Coriander does things in this next session about dealing with whatever this creature actually is that may or may not be stalking them. How'd you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
It was good fun. It was very spooky, and I actually find myself haunted by poor Bess. There was something.
Yeah.
I'm very sad about it. The chickens I didn't care about. Like a more charismatic animal.
The chickens need better marketing. Really, they just don't have the PR they need.
Chickens, chickens, they're fine. I'm fond of chickens, but it's hard to imagine a creature that is more like securely occupying its place in the food chain. Like,
yeah.
Because it sort of exists to be eaten. Apologies to vegetarians. It's just like, I don't know, a chook. I love a chicken, I really do. But they didn't have names, and Bessie did, and that clearly is affecting me.
That's true. I should have called them like Joe and Steve and. Susie.
Also, it's the fact that Rolo was clearly upset about it. Like,
Yes.
it's that thing. It's specifically the thing of like, oh no, I was so overcome with fear that I ran and didn't think about the fact that my animals are at risk and stuff. And it's such an unusual thing for a farmer to do, you know. And that's the thing that's like, oh, shudder and shadow and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, it was really good fun. I am very amused by the fact that I feel not functional today from tiredness, whereas Coriander was just like, fine, rolling nat 20s here and there.
Oh yeah, no
So,
joke.
But yeah, I am zonked out. So apologies for the low energy, but yeah, it was good, and I like having leveled up. I like us all having leveled up. And where people can find me next. Genuinely, I'm as much as I'm on Blusky, which I call
Blusky.
I call them Blusks and so on. I'm on it, but I'm not active there, and with the current atmosphere of geopolitics, I just don't really want to be. So I don't find me there. Find me at my newsletter instead. Go to my website. I have a newsletter. I will update it at some point soon, and that is probably the better thing. I definitely feel like with CanCon having passed, now is the time of hibernation approaching, and just kind of I don't know if you know this, I've got books to write.
I mean, I've heard the rumor. I've heard that rumor, yeah.
So, there once, like, yeah. So there's a bit of a just kind of quiet period I think we'll be entering into now. Maybe I'm just saying that because it's dark now and I feel very sleepy. But
Yeah, now it's all part of the whole, yeah. Well,
anyway.
and no red-eyed wolves down below. It's all fine. That's all good. And yeah, says Prince Justin says, right on, Amel, right on. But it was good to have everyone here, and I am both looking forward to, in a bittersweet sense, but looking forward to the final session, which will happen next month. Chat, can we get some love for our amazing Shire Adventure players of Amal Elmatar, Brad Bollier, Tari Tunes, who's now asleep, and Tren. Most of these people are going to be asleep in 3 seconds as soon as I finish. So everyone sleep well, rest well, and I will see you folks back here next month. Well, Tren, I'll see you Saturday. Everybody else, I'll see you next month. Bye for now, all. All right. Good stuff, everybody. Really enjoyed that, and I have enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this campaign, and it's going to be, as I say, sad to leave it, although I'm also excited for Beowulf that's going to happen. I deliberately kept the room around a little bit darker because I thought it kind of fit the description of what we were all, doing and talking about here. But yeah, I really enjoyed that, and it's going to end with, I think, a really good last session that will tie a nice bow on Shire Adventures and on Lord of the Rings role playing and on all the time that we've spent in Middle Earth. And I'm not ruling out the possibility that at some point in the future we could revisit these characters or this world or something like that at some point in the future, but it's going to be a later thing. We are going to be finishing next month with this, and then December we will be starting, as I mentioned, Beowulf, so that's going to be a good time. If you like what you saw and heard, and I also, of course, especially want to thank the amazing people at Free League Publishing for having sponsored us. There is an audio podcast of this, of course, which will be wrapping up after the live event wraps up, but it will be available to everyone so you can check it out in audio form. And that, of course, is thanks to the support that we got from Free League as well. If you like what you saw and heard, I hope you'll follow the channel. I hope you'll check out our YouTube at !ArvTube. Please do sub to me over there. It's free to do that, but it definitely will help us out. Discord is !ArvCord. Twitter is !ArvTweets. Blue Sky is !ArvSky. Website arvaneleron.com. Financially, !ArvShop for the merchandise area. !ArvTrayon for the Patreon, which is really the financial backbone of the channel. And again, the subs that people did tonight, I really appreciate that from Rurf and a bunch of other folks. All of those subs and resubs are really great and do make a difference. And you can get inspirations to help our players both with that and by supporting us with the Patreon. So all of that stuff is very, very good, and we appreciate it. On the publishing side, exclamation point Icarus for my graphic novel from Athos Arts, exclamation point Library for my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment, and exclamation point Greyshade, which is my Grey Assassin trilogy. Greyshade and Renegade were the first 2 books in that world. Heretic, the final book, is coming out next year. So you can buy right now Greyshade and Renegade at those links, at that link. You can also buy the audiobook by Trent Sparks of Greyshade, and you saw Trent today. So if you want to hear more of that in your life, if you need more of that, that's where you do it. You will also can pre-order Heretic, the final book in the series coming out next year, and the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade being done by Brandon O'Brien and being published by Alligator Alley Entertainment. All of that exclamation point Greyshade link. And as always, exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Exclamation point Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And exclamation point Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war bravely, courageously, and we send the message that we will support others in a situation like that in the future. Thank you, Prince Justin. I hope you're feeling better, by the way, Prince Justin, as well. Thank you to my wonderful mods, to Hillness, to Prince Justin, before, to Triffany Mats was here as well, the best in the business. Thank you to my wonderful Patreon supporters and subscribers, Hillness, Prince Justin, Effect Life, Amal, Trendane. Thank you, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Prince Justin, that sucks. Well, I hope that this gave at least a little bit of distraction, but I'm sorry that you're not feeling better yet. I'm sorry to hear that. Man, it sounds like it, hang in there, I guess is what I would say, the best you can. Thank you to 7B Valette. Thank you to Ahai. Thank you to Alexi. Thank you to Chrono Travis. Thank you to Coleman, to Cujo. What's up, Cujo? Thank you to David, to Dragon Spear, who was a mod and was lurking. Thank you to Jagtress. Thank you to Live Suing, as always. Thank you to Mrs. Dunsel, Spofo, and VMK. Thank you so much to everybody for being here. Remember, tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, we'll be back here with Negocios and Fernales, as Carlos Hernandez leads the players of Brandon O'Brien, Cassandra Kaw, Will Sobel, and Anna Russell through more of the Negocios game. That's going to be happening tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And then I'll be back on Friday night with Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks as that continues. Otherwise, thank you all for being here. Much love, and I will see you folks back here, as I say, tomorrow afternoon for some Negocios. Until then, everyone, please be good to each other and have a good night. Oh, and I almost forgot. Thank you especially tonight to my players. Thank you to Tren. Thank you to Amal. Thank you to Tari. Thank you to Brett for amazing work as always. Now, everyone be good to each other. Much love, and I'll see you folks soon. Bye for now.